You want to go. Yes, go travel, go explore, go find a new city, go reconnect with friends, go have fun. That's why we created OnGo, the trusted rapid COVID-19 self-test. OnGo gives you accurate COVID test results and peace of mind in just minutes. So anywhere you go, you know. You'll know if you're COVID-19 free, and you'll know you're protecting loved ones. OnGo is readily available at letsongo.com, Amazon, Walgreens, or Walmart.com. Use promo code ONGO15 for 15% off at letsongo.com today.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Zack Sabre Jr., New Japan Cup winner 2018. And you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style with my mates. Enjoy.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be discussing the latest on the New Year's Golden Series Tour, Windy City Riot, the Lone Star Shootout, NJPW Strong, your questions, and covering all this news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping a Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tee store, prowrestlingtees.com/social suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and share playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. Young boy, how you doing, man?
Let me answer that question with one simple noise. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. You know, I've got myself a nice beverage, a refreshment, you know, courtesy of Cigar City Brewing, you know, right out here in beautiful, sunny Tampa, Florida, except it's been pretty cold lately. You know, I mean, frigid, like 55 degrees, you know?
Yeah, man, it's been cold. It's been raining. It's not been a good time here.
That's the way I like it, though. I actually prefer this weather. Man, what a week open. You know, we got to talk about the weather. We got nothing interesting going on in our lives. Let me tell you something, Jeremy. I'm feeling fantastic, and not just because of this, margarita ghost that I'm sipping on while we record. It's because I treated myself yesterday. You know, I went to Target and I got myself some gimmicks. And by gimmicks, I mean I got myself some new underwear, some new shirts, some new socks. I can't explain it, but there's something about having some fresh socks and a fresh white shirt that just makes me feel like $1 million.
Hey, man, those are the essentials, man. You got to have the fresh undies, the fresh socks, the fresh white tees.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really explain it. Like when most mornings when I wake up, it's like, oh God, I gotta wake up. But like the morning after I bought some fresh socks and a t-shirt and some underwear, I'm like, oh yeah.
It's business time.
So yeah, things are going good. And we're recording another fantastic episode of Keeping It Strong Style. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us. And we got quite a lot to discuss. Anything going on with you, man? I mean, you had a busy weekend. I know I heard rumors that you were, out on fucking whatever island, cutting a rug,
Yeah,
doing the electric slide and shit.
yeah, man. Had a pretty busy weekend. Friday, Saturday, church men's retreat from my church here in Tampa, Florida. So that was a good time. And then Sunday, yeah, had a wedding to go to at the Davis Island Garden Club. My girlfriend.
Oh, you had a wedding?
Yeah, my girlfriend was.
Why wasn't I at your wedding?
Well, not my wedding, a wedding that I was invited to. My girlfriend.
I was about to say, like, if you had a wedding without me, I don't know how I feel about that.
That's like this is just disrespect right now, man. I wouldn't do that.
Part of it would be kind of it, like I get it, I would understand, I don't know. Maybe you just don't want me there. Whatever, I get it. It's your day. I'm not going to impose on your day, Jeremy.
I know wedding venues are expensive, and at some point, you got to cut the guest list down. But I don't think I could cut the young boy Josh Smith off my guest list.
Yeah, if I don't make the cut, I don't make the cut. My cousin was actually getting married out here. They're like, yeah, the guest list's gonna be kind of tight, and I was like, well, if you got to cut me, you got to cut me. And they're like, for real? And I was like, yeah, if it's that expensive. And then they did cut me.
Damn.
No, they decided to do a deal with just them, and the wedding party went to Puerto Rico, and like everyone got cut. Like literally every single person that's not in the wedding party. A lot of the family members, good thing most of them don't listen to this podcast. They're feeling some kind of way about the whole thing right now. Very, very, very salty. And the funny thing though is like my cousin's, bride to be. I've met her. She's cool, but she doesn't always know when I'm joking, just like most people. So I kind of like let her think that I thought I was in the wedding party. Like when they're like, oh yeah, unfortunately we're not going to be able to have everyone, attend, only people in the wedding party. And I'm like, all right, well, awesome, Boricua, I can't wait to go out there. And then like she didn't, and I saw her reading it. She didn't say anything. So I like kept going with it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, am I groomsman or am I best man? I wasn't sure. And I was like, or I could stand on Mary's side. I'm not picky. And then, then my cousin had to like jump in because he gets my sense of humor. And he's like, actually, I was thinking you could be the flower girl. And then she like laughed and she realized like I didn't expect to go to Puerto Rico with them.
That's hilarious. But
yeah, well, that's what we try to do on the show. We aim for comedy.
Yeah, it was not my wedding. Don't worry. There will be a spot for the young boy at my eventual wedding. But yeah, my girlfriend was a maid of honor for her best friend's wedding. It's a great time. Her best friend's Peruvian, so it's one of those weddings where they're dancing all night. So yeah, this thing started at 2 p.m. And didn't end till like 9:30. It was a long one.
Did they have Peruvian food there, or did they do something else more like a little bit more like Western traditional?
More Western. There was your choice of steak, chicken, salmon. They all came.
See. I'm not interested in that. I'm let down. Like if I ever go to a Peruvian wedding, I expect there to be Peruvian food. Oh my God, I love Peruvian food. Like you have no idea. It's like one of my all-time favorites.
well, the groom was white, so I'm guessing maybe he won out the battle on that one.
Listen, I just want to say one thing before we move on. I appreciate you extending the olive branch, making sure that there's a spot for me at your wedding, but I can't say the same for you. Give him that old Brett Sean. I just want you to know that I would put you over. Well, I appreciate you saying that, Brett, but I wouldn't do the same for you. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. I'm never putting him over again.
Oh, man. Well, let's talk some New Japan here. There's a ton of news items, a couple of shows to talk about. But let's start with some of the big news. So, last week we talked about the Windy City Riot show that New Japan would be doing in Chicago. We talked about, them doing a great job on social media, hyping up the show. Tickets went on sale. They announced some talent. We got some updates on that. First, the Deaf Rider, the former IWGP US champion, Jon Moxley, has
been... The Lunatic Fringe.
He's been announced for the show, cut a promo saying, the boogeyman is always lurking, and mentioned names like Tanahashi and Ospreay and some other New Japan names. And so it seems like we're going to get a big matchup for Jon Moxley here. And we did have a question from MJ Does PR. He says, Windy City Riot is shaping up. The boogeyman is back. What matches are you hoping to get on this card? Do you expect any big angles? He says, also, it's my birthday tomorrow, February 8th. Everybody show me some love or throw me some hate. It's all good, baby.
Hey. like the hater
show.
No, I'm just playing. We appreciate MJ Does PR, longtime listener, contributor, question asker, supporter of the show. So and another great question here. So I mean, as far as Jon Moxley goes, I do hope that it ends up being a bigger match. I mean, the type of card that it seems to be shaping up to be, it seems to be more akin to those, kind of quarterly or whatever time frame they're going to follow specials that they've been doing with like Resurgence and Battle in the Valley. And so I assume that they're going to have some sort of, significant match for Jon Moxley, but who it is, I don't know. It seems like it might be Ospreay though.
Yeah, with Ospreay, RevPro show over the weekend, he called out Jon Moxley. And Moxley and Ospreay are both featured very big on the Windy City Riot graphics. So, I mean, that's a pretty big matchup to do. I don't think those guys have ever wrestled before. So that would be a great match for a show that is drawing pretty well. Right now, there's only 588 tickets available. The current setup is for 2,198. So 73% of the tickets have been gone, and that's pretty good for a U.S. New Japan show.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the post-Access, AEW era. Yeah, this has got to be considered one of the more successful drawing shows that they've done. So that's pretty exciting. I wonder if there's any kind of if there's a set game plan that's in place with the booking and they've got a big match already planned out, or if there's that temptation, like, we got your money, kid. Maybe we can shift off this Moxley Ospreay match and save it for an even bigger venue, because they haven't promised us any matches yet. People are buying the shit, and I think a lot of it just has to do with them never really being in the mid-market before, and then obviously Moxley and Ospreay, big names, and I think people are expecting a bigger matchup like the one that we're kind of discussing here hypothetically. So very exciting stuff all across the board.
Yeah, I mean, they could pull a tag match. They could do like Moxley and Nagata against Ospreay and Cobb, since Cobb's going to be on that show as well. So there's some things they can do if they get that, like you mentioned, that temptation to kind of go easy since the tickets are already selling. But I do hope that they do some bigger matchups. I think the key for these U.S. New Japan shows, they need to show the audience that they're doing big matches. So when they come to your town, all right, we're not just going to get a bunch of multi-mans. We're actually going to get some big matches, which I think they've been doing a decent job of on these, U.S. pay-per-views, Resurgence and Battle in the Valley. We had U.S. title matches. We had Tanahashi. We had Ishii. We had a never title match at Battle in the Valley. So they're doing big matches. They're doing some title matches. We're getting more singles matches. So, back to MJSPR's question, what matches would I like to see? Well, I think Ospreay Moxley, that's definitely a match I'd like to see. I would like to see some kind of title match. We've seen several title matches on these shows before. So I think whether that's, you bring Tanahashi over with the U.S., or if Sonata beats him, Sonata over and do a U.S. title match. Ishii's coming over. So if he beats Evil this weekend, you can have Ishii defend the never title against somebody, which would be cool. One thing I would like to see is Filthy Tom defend the strong title on one of these U.S. pay-per-view shows. Both times he's been in 10-man tag main events that set up a strong title match on TV. But I really feel for these fans that are checking out, the U.S. product for the first time, or maybe not too familiar with Filthy Tom, I think it would be a great way to let fans know, hey, we have this strong title, and do a great strong defense. And, you do have some New Japan guys on here, like do Filthy Tom versus Nagata. I think that'd be a pretty cool, strong title match.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think part of the issue with that just is sort of the time frames of how they build this out, because most of those strong title matches have had, pretty healthy feuds and pretty healthy builds to them, and they're designed to be like one of the major drawing attractions for the strong tapings. And if you give it away on one of these like quarterly shows, then it kind of disrupts the natural progression that they have with strong. But I think if you book wise enough, there's a way to do it without having to worry about um, disrupting everything. Like maybe you could have two challengers simultaneously and be building something for a strong taping, but also have a preemptive special match for one of these, quarterly specials or whatever we want to call. I don't know what to call them. I don't know what the terminology is.
Premium live events.
Yeah, the PLEs. So, and I do agree though. I think that they need to do something to showcase some of the strong talent, especially guys like Filthy Tom Lawler, who maybe some of the more casual fans aren't as familiar with it. That would go a long way, I think, in bringing brand awareness to strong, and maybe even upping viewership, drawing more eyes and attendance to the strong taping. So I definitely agree with you there. One other thing too, to keep into consideration is like, if Will Ospreay is on the show and he is the RevPro champion, there is a chance maybe he could defend that title over here in the States. I mean, we haven't seen him do that so far, but that's because he was defending the real world's IWGP title before. But now he's got that big gold RevPro title, and I mean, who knows? Maybe we could see a title defense of that. I think the really intriguing thing though is if he does end up fighting Jon Moxley, it's two of the bigger, more protected stars in the company. And I just wonder what the booking of something like that would be, because I don't even really know what the outcome could realistically be one way or the other. Like, I have trouble seeing either guy eat a loss to one another right now, especially on a stage that's not as big as, like, say, a Tokyo Dome or a Sumo Hall or something like that.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of politics involved, like we always talk about whenever these, AEW versus New Japan matchups happen or talked about. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what the game plan is. This show is in April, so we'll see what's lay of land. A lot of big stuff will be happening between now and then in both companies. AEW will have their Revolution pay-per-view in March, and I'm sure, Mox will be a part of that, and he's going to have some big plans coming up with him being back, potentially feuding with Bryan Danielson. And then on the New Japan side, New Japan Cup is coming up next month. Ospreay did tease that he was going to be in that, so you got to assume that he's going to do very well in that tournament, potentially be in the finals, semifinals kind of thing, potentially win it again and be a title challenger. So depending on where these guys stand come April, it could be some interesting discussions between TK and Gato on who's going over here.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all pans out. We don't even know. We don't have a card announced yet, so we'll see.
Yeah. And I just want to say happy birthday, MJ Does PR. Thanks for always listening and supporting the show.
Happy birthday, bro.
Now, when it talks to ticket sales and U.S. shows, we did have a question here from Reddit user FitBeautiful2638. Do you guys have your tickets for the Tampa show? Ticket sales seem very weak. Looks like only 100 sold so far. With Chicago's show tickets selling great, over 80% sold. What U.S. markets do you think they should focus on? New York, Philly, California, Seattle, and Chicago all seem strong so far. Dallas has been okay. All other areas have seemed to struggle. Thoughts?
Well, let's see. I don't know that they've struggled. I mean, they've seemed to do well in LA. They definitely did good in Philadelphia. They did well in Seattle, from what I can tell. The only place that it was really noticeable that they definitely struggled was the Texas tickets.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I feel like they did well for all the shows, which were, I don't know, like less than what are they trying to draw for those shows? Like like around 1,000, maybe less?
Yeah, I think certain venues have had different setups, but usually I think it's around 1,000 that they're trying to draw.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if they're drawing those numbers. I guess we'd have to do a little bit more research. I wasn't prepared for all the semantics of this question necessarily, but yeah, I think they've done okay. The biggest issue is two things. Number one, New Japan in the States is literally just not as hot. Well, actually, three things. They're not as hot as they were when they were touring previously. So they've got that going against them. Number two, with live events kind of opening up over the past year or so, and only certain markets really being viable, we've seen major competitors like WWE and AEW continuously go to those same similar markets time and time again. So there is a little bit of an oversaturation in some of these places that they're going to. They have to really kind of have a showcase of some sort that separates them from their competitors and drives demand for the show and interest. And then finally, the biggest thing, most of these shows don't have cards really announced ahead of time. Like right now, all they have announced is talent, and there are the only really big name that I think is a draw on any level that's announced for the Tampa show is Jay White. Other than Jay White, they've got great talent lineup, but none of those guys move the needle, so to say.
Right, and it's funny, I get the targeted Facebook ads, obviously because I'm in Tampa and I follow New Japan on Facebook, so, good job with their marketing team there. I get the ads and I see all the comments and people are like, where's Okada? Where's Tanahashi? Where's Naito? Who's coming? Like, people, when they see New Japan, they're thinking of the big domestic stars of New Japan. And, there are a ton of wrestling fans who just don't have New Japan World, or if they follow New Japan, they don't watch Strong. You might have that lapse, access base. The fans that went over to AEW, there might be people who, when they want to go to a New Japan show, they're expecting to see, Tanahashi, Bushi. The last time they came to Tampa, and right before the pandemic, we had Tanahashi. Bushi was scheduled for that show, but he got sick. So they were bringing some of the bigger guys to the show. I mean, I do know some of the New Japan guys are coming to the States for, Mania weekend and Windy City Riot. So who knows, maybe there might be some additions. They're not finished announcing talent. Like you mentioned, they haven't announced a card yet. But without some of those bigger New Japan names, it's definitely going to be hard to draw a fan base that's not been watching Strong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the final, talent roster and card announcement's going to be for the Tampa show. Based off the trends that we've been seeing for New Japan Strong, just, on the regular television show, there seems to usually be some sort of outsider or two that they bring in that's sort of like a showcase or like a kind of a treat for the fans, especially with the Jay White Open Challenge, if that's still ongoing. But we don't even know really at this point if that's going to be the case for that show. But the other thing too is like there are less stars. Like they don't have Will Ospreay announced, and they don't have guys like Ishii, Minoru Suzuki, Lance Archer, Eddie Kingston, John Moxley. These were all names that had been on some of the previous Strong shows that are not really announced for the Tampa show right now. So, even if they can't bring over a lot of the big domestic stars from Japan, they don't even have a lot of the big names that are available locally announced for this show. So I'm not too surprised that the tickets aren't flying off the, out of the booth, because, I mean, they don't have a card announced and they don't have premium talent really announced. And, with the episodic nature of the tapings, I mean, who knows what to sort of expect. Do I think that they could make some announcements here in the next few weeks that see an increase? Yes. But you also have to remember, Tampa is a great market for wrestling, but we're kind of inundated with wrestling. I mean, there's WWE shows all the time. There used to be NXT shows. The WWN runs out of here. A lot of independent groups. I mean, there's literally wrestling available, multiple, semi-big shows per month. So, I mean, plus with AEW running, right around the corner, in Jacksonville and Orlando and Fort Myers or wherever it is they're going. There's a lot of competition in this area too.
Yeah, and you pointed out something I wanted to bring up. Yeah, that episodic style, the way they tape their TV, feuds play out. I mean, the Rivals taping is happening February 17th, And so I'm sure there's going to be storylines on that taping that build to New Beginning in Tampa in March. So you can't fully announce everything, or else you're going to end up spoiling the TV show.
And that's always been one of the drawbacks about New Japan's style of booking and style of business. And I mean, there are positives to it, but there are negatives where you don't want to give too much away in the future because you don't want to spoil what still has yet to air. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's something they've always kind of struggled with. And so I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out. At this point, I mean, we're still planning to have like a fan meetup and all sorts of other things. We're kind of organizing it right now. We haven't made a final announcement, but I mean, yeah, the tickets, we do have tickets. We have a group. I think we got a group of like 8 people going. So I mean, if there's only 100 sold, we're like 8% of the people going.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be out there, and yeah, we're working on the details for the fan meetup. We had one last time. New Japan here was in Tampa. Great turnout, a lot of fun, some giveaway stuff. So we're still working on that, finalizing details, and hopefully have another good outing.
Yeah, I'm still excited for the show. But I mean, now that I'm looking at the calendar and I'm seeing obviously the WrestleMania show is coming up, and then the Windy City Riot show. It just makes me feel like this is the down show of the tour, especially like with Rivals. There's some good stuff on that one. I just feel like for some reason, I feel like we're like Tampa's getting the shaft when it comes to just the sort of ebb and flow of their style shows. Like I feel like we're gonna have like a C-level strong taping where and then the A stuff's gonna be for Mania weekend in Chicago.
Yeah. And one thing for Chicago, we did get media credentials for that show. So still working out our travel details and whether we're going to be able to make the trip there. I'm planning on being there. So there'll be should be some KISS representation there at that show.
Yeah, I will try my best.
And then for Dallas, New Japan announced some details for that called the Lone Star Shootout, which will be happening as a part of WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend. That's the name of the event happening. It'll be Friday, April 1st, taking place at the Fairmont Hotel in Dallas, Texas. In addition to being taped for NJPW Strong, this show will air live on Fight TV. It'll be available to purchase on its own or as part of the WrestleCon bundle. Names announced for the Lone Star Shootout: Tomohiro Ishii, Jay White, Tom Lawler, Fred Rosser, Ren Narita, Yuya Uemura, Clark Connors, Gabriel Kidd, Chris Bay, J.R. Kratos, Juice Robinson, David Finlay. And then there will be more names announced for the Lone Star Shootout. I also will be going to Dallas for that event as well. Going to be with Floyd Johnson Jr. from All Things Elite here on the network. So should be pretty interesting. I was pretty excited to see Ishii announced for this show.
With Ishii working some of these tours pretty often lately, is there any chance that he's the guy that they're building up to take the title off Tom Lawler?
I mean, there's definitely potential. I mean, he's a guy that's always been popular with the U.S. fan base. I think he's a name that would be intriguing to draw people to shows. It'd be a great to, we always talk about trying to get more crossover between what's happening in New Japan proper, New Japan Strong, and I think Ishii would be that kind of perfect kind of gateway guide to kind of balance between both what's going on in Japan and here.
Yeah, I mean, I notice his name time and time again, and I'm like, is there an end game to this? Are they like planning to give him a push to be like a title contender for that brand? It just seems, I think he's winning all his matches for the most part, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he ends up being a challenger or even the next guy. Although there was a lot of people pooling for different stars of the Strong brand, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to strengthen the lineage of the title by putting it on a domestic guy like Ishii.
Right, and the tapings are only once a month, so he could fly in,
right,
do the tapings, fly back, and then a month later fly back again, do the next set of tapings. And so I think that would work out for him. And I think it'd be great, too, for him to bring the Strong title back to Japan, get it on, Japan proper programming, have the commentators put it over, and expose that title to the fan base in Japan.
I think it's going to be really cool when they start doing strong tapings in Japan.
Yes.
Because that's probably going to happen at some point, I bet.
Yeah, and hopefully as border restrictions open up and guys can get over there. I know Bari did say, yeah, they're planning on doing a strong tour at some point in Japan. So, yeah, that'd be pretty dope to see. So, speaking of, strong, let's talk about this past week's show. So, we had the New Beginning in USA Night 1 kick off here this past weekend on New Japan Strong. These were the shows that were taped in Seattle, Washington. So the show opened up. We had Big Bad Brody King representing the House of Black. He defeated Yuya Uemura 12 minutes and 56 seconds.
Yeah, we heard really good reports coming out of Seattle for this set of tapings, and this first episode really lived up to that hype. It didn't disappoint whatsoever. The opening match with Brody King and Yuya Uemura was just, I thought, fantastic. I mean, really, really hard-hitting, fiery, story of this monster Brody King taking it to, a young lion and Yuya Uemura, who's really coming into his own on his excursion here. Hard hitting, these guys just kind of beat the piss out of one another, and ultimately, like, Brody King kind of had to throw everything at him, and finally hit him with the Gonzo bomb. But I mean, he literally unloaded his full arsenal of giant moves on Yuya Uemura to put him away, which was pretty awesome. I mean, I enjoyed the match a lot.
Yeah, I like this match too. Yeah, Uemura, he was trying to hang in there, throw some bombs back at Brody King, but at the end he just could not, outmatch or outpower the big veteran Brody King. Like you mentioned, hit him with the Gonzo bomb. That looked gnarly. He just drilled Uemura with that Gonzo bomb. Laid him out. Great opener in the clothesline before the Gonzo bomb. Uemura's soul left his body from that clothesline.
That was awesome. The even just the pile driver that he hit Uemura with prior to that was really great too. There was a lot of good stuff here. Uemura showed awesome fire and just was lighting up Brody King. I mean, he gave just as much as he got. So yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, and I know one thing with Brody, we were kind of wondering what was going to happen with him now being in AEW and teaming up with Malachi Black. But the ring announcers did mention that he is a part of the House of Black, so it does seem like they are going to start having a little bit of continuity between his character in AEW and here on Strong.
Yeah, it seems that way. Next match of the night, we had tag team action as the makeshift team of Lio Rush and Rocky Romero. They defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs, 10 minutes, 52 seconds. So, very good tag team action here. Kind of surprising considering how established West Coast Wrecking Crew are as a unit. But Lio Rush and Rocky Romero, they seem to have a lot of good chemistry. Obviously, both guys are very experienced veterans. And, kind of continuing the ongoing saga of Rocky Romero's quest and odyssey in, kind of trying to defeat the false Black Tiger, who's now aligned himself with Team Filthy. And post-match, there was a huge beatdown from Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs on Rocky Romero using the black kendo stick that was first introduced by the now current Black Tiger. So, they really kind of took it to Rocky, even though Lio Rush and Rocky Romero won the match. Team Filthy stood tall at the end.
Right, and there was the promo that came out after Strong with Rocky calling out Black Tiger, and we do know that match has been announced for the upcoming Rivals taping that's coming up soon. So we'll get that eventual Rocky versus Black Tiger match. And like you mentioned, I was also surprised kind of to see the mixed team here of Romero and Lio Rush getting the win here, with West Coast Wrecking Crew being a true tag team and very established with Team Filthy. But like you mentioned, in the end, they got their heat back, laid out Rocky and Lio, and so setting the doors up here for the Rocky and Black Tiger feud.
What do you mean got their heat back? What does that mean?
I mean, like they got one over on them. Like, even though they lost, they came back strong at the end. They were the ones, left lying, and They got the heat. Fans are booing them. They got the attention back on them.
What's the heat? Zach at Tiffin Buck asked the question. He said, I remember Young Boy saying he couldn't take Royce Isaacs seriously because of the tassel. So my question is, did the Young Boy see Isaacs' gear on Strong this week where it said Tassel Daddy, LOL? And I did see that. You know, it's kind of funny. He's not the only member of Team Filthy that's taken the tassels. Filthy Tom Lawler himself has also kind of adopted a tassel mentality. So, you know, kind of interesting. We've seen, you know, the team that's most associated with tassels over the past years is the Young Bucks, and they've kind of abandoned the tassels. I think the new adopters of the tasselism is Royce Isaacs and Filthy Tom Lawler. You know, Young Buckism.
Yeah. All team building, they should all start wearing tassels. Get Jared Kratos some tassels. Give them all tassels.
Listen, I know this is gonna sound so ridiculous, and it sounds like I'm making it up for the show, but I promise you this is a real thing that happened last night, and I didn't see these questions ahead of time, so I didn't know that this was gonna come up. Last night I had a dream that Brock Lesnar started wearing red, not trunks like how he used to wear, but that he was wearing a you know how he wears the fight board shorts?
Yeah.
I had a dream that he was wearing board shorts like that, but they were kind of ripped at the bottom, similar to the Buddy Murphy shorts.
Mm-hmm.
You know how those are ripped at the bottom and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wearing a reddish, orangish fight trunk with that sort of thing, but then they had tassels at the bottom of them, and he had tassels on his arm. He was a tasseled up. He kind of reminded me of the Taz when Taz was what was Taz's old
the Tasmaniac?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Tasmaniac a little bit. I don't know why I dreamt that. It was you ever have those dreams where you're waking up, but you kind of fall back asleep and you start to have a portion of a dream right before you wake up?
Yeah.
That's what this was. I don't have the context. I just remember Brock Lesnar in tassels. You know, it's kind of weird.
I think it's your love for the Ultimate Warrior. You know, just it's happening in your dream realm, and you turn Brock into the Ultimate Warrior.
It was an amalgamation of Warrior, Taz, Ken Shamrock, and Brock Lesnar and Marty Jannetty, all kind of rolled into one. So it was pretty good.
So before the main event, we had a backstage segment here with Ian Riccaboni, which we forgot to mention here on top of the show. Ian Riccaboni did the commentary here because Kevin is in Japan. So we had Ian Riccaboni and with Kozlov. So he was backstage interviewing Finlay and Juice Robinson ahead of their tag match coming up against Jonah and Bad Dude Tito. Josh, what are your thoughts been on Ian Riccaboni on this episode so far?
I think Ian Riccaboni is fantastic. I've always thought that about the guy. I mean, he's always stood out as a pro and a top-notch commentator, you know, from his time in Ring of Honor. And I think that he is a really good voice for this brand. You know, there was a part of me, though, and I mean, I'm not just saying this because he's been on the show or a supporter, but why haven't they tried out Mads Gillis? Doesn't that seem kind of weird, too?
Yeah.
Because I think Mads is really fantastic as well. He's always been a guy that I thought did a really good job, you know, on the call for New Japan as well. So, but yeah, you know, Ian's great. Ian's really great. I can't sit here and say that. I saw people try to claim this online. I think they're wrong, but I can't say that having Ian Riccaboni on the call made Alex Kozlov any better or more bearable or more comfortable or natural. And I saw people trying to make those kinds of claims. I thought Kozlov was just as bad as he is with Kevin Kelly. But yeah, I mean, Ian Riccaboni is really great, and I think he's a guy that they should really consider keeping around. I mean, he's top notch, and you know, Kevin can't always be doing the Strong tapings, especially with how much time he dedicates to New Japan proper. And I think you know, Ian's a really good guy for the brand. So we'll see what happens, but I think he's great.
Yeah, I thought he was awesome, from the get-go and the cold opening of him and Kozlov, like his voice, like you mentioned, his presence, like he knows his stuff. Yeah, it was great to have him there. I think he's going to be a welcome addition to Strong. I would love to hear like him and Kevin Kelly together calling these shows. But yeah, I think Ian will be a great person to have when Kevin is in Japan calling live shows. So definitely a welcome addition here, and did a great job commentary here, night one.
Well, I think Ian and Kevin would be fine. The only thing is they're both kind of play-by-play guys. Or is that what it is? I always mix them up.
Yeah, I think they're. Or they the color guys?
No, they're not color. I think they're lead, and lead is usually play-by-play, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, I mean, I'm sure they could work it out. We've seen Kevin do the call with different guys like Mavs and like Excalibur and stuff like that, so it would be fine. But I think they both need a strong color guy to play off of. I think it might be like too much of a good thing if you have both of them there, and you don't have and then you've got Kozlov, who's a terrible color guy. So the problem still persists. So they kind of need a good color commentator.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out before we move on from that, though, like you said, he really knew his stuff, and I remember him on social media, Ian, that is, kind of just talking about how he wasn't as familiar with New Japan, and that he was really doing a lot of his homework and going back and rewatching basically virtually every episode of Strong to kind of acclimate and familiarize himself with the product. And I mean, when he came in, he really knew his stuff. Whoever was helping him with any kind of notes, kudos to those guys and kudos to him, because he came in like a pro. I mean, he really added a lot to the call.
Yeah, he was great. So now we move to the main event here. Great storytelling here. We got a nice little video package highlighting the rivalry between our main event here between TJP and the Wild Rhino Clark Connors. Their very first matchup, they face each other in the same building in Seattle in a one-on-one match of Clark still as a young lion, and it showed their history from 2019 to now. These guys teaming up in the Super Junior Tag League and being a team in Japan and on Strong, and some of the miscommunications they've had over the Strong tapings, and then all building to the final turn when TJP turned on the LA Dojo to join the United Empire, and then the match where he cheated to beat Clark, and all leading up to this moment right here. Homecoming. Clark is from the Seattle area and initially trained there and wrestled a little bit of indies there. So big homecoming, big personal feud to be the main event on this night one of the tour.
Yeah, again, this is one of those things that I love about the layout of the Strong tapings is you can have a really, really strong, long, quote unquote main event, but it's probably the third match of the night. You know what I mean? So
right.
You're getting these little sound bites of episodes of a show every so often throughout the night. And I can only imagine what that really feels like to kind of take that in when you're there live. So I think that's really awesome. Whoever put together that video package for this match did a fantastic job. And I thought Clark and TJP went out there and they really knocked it out of the park. We here on Keepin It Strong Style, I think we were a little bit dismissive of the early kind of miscommunications and miscues, all the contention that was going on between Clark Connors and TJP. And I think part of the reason why we were so dismissive is we were sort of viewing New Japan Strong in this one very specific kind of way, that it was just sort of like a self-contained little bottled in universe, and that it didn't have room. There's just these individual tapings. Most of the stories played out back then over one taping, and we weren't expecting anything long form to come out of this brand. Maybe we should have expected it knowing it's New Japan, but I don't think we did. And so when everything started popping off with Clark Connors and TJP, we kept just predicting time and time again that there'd be a quick rift, a quick breakup, maybe even some of that Western style booking was sort of affecting our ideas of this. And we didn't know the kind of long odyssey that this feud was going to take on. And all the twists and turns, and then them, kind of breaking up and then getting back together and then working it out and then having miscommunications, and then the big unveil that TJP was all along, an Empire guy, and then everything that's kind of come from that. And they've really gotten a lot of juice out of this squeeze. And I once it was like kind of put in front of me, I was like, my God, how did we not see this from the get-go? But I got to tell you, we're usually ahead. I don't think either of us really saw this. And I'm kind of glad we did, because it's kind of refreshing. And man, this match delivered.
Yeah, this was a awesome matchup here, and it played off the last matchup they had where TJP was targeting the injured leg of Clark Connors, and then he used that to get the leverage to get the win over him last time. And so Clark was feigning the injury, pretending that the leg was still injured, and he suckered TJP in with that fake injury, took the tape off the knee, so the knee was fine. And then, yeah, Clark showed a lot of great fire here. Setting up his pounce that he does, all the kind of the misdirection moves he does, especially towards the end, that stretch there where he was just like kicking out at one of all TJP's big moves, the detonation kick and the Mamba splash and some of the other stuff that TJP does, just really firing up. The home city crowd was behind him and wanted to see him win. There was just so much going for this match.
Yeah, like you mentioned, there was the whole thing where Clark Connors came in with the injured leg. Big bullseye for TJP, and then Clark Connors kind of showed his hand a little bit, because he was just on an incredible shine sequence for the early part of the match. And once he had TJP like kind of down, he unveiled like, oh, it was all a ruse. My leg's fully healed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, oh my God, this guy's like, like Wolverine, he's regenerated, and that was really cool. But then TJP was kind of keyed in and made aware, like, oh, the target I had isn't really a target at all. I need to audible my attack. And that's when on the outside, he injured Clark Connor's shoulder, and that became the subject of his attack for the rest of the match. And that kind of limited what Clark Connors could do, because he utilizes that so much for like the spear and for the pounce. And so it really made a lot of sense story-wise as to why that would be TJP's, main target. But back and forth, high, like a lot of really great high, like impact offensive type moves. A lot of high risk stuff on the outside, high flying from both guys. But where things really picked up is, like you mentioned, TJP started hitting all of his signature moves and even some of his like quasi finishers on Clark Connors. And Clark just was firing up, and he was kicking out of everything, which, I don't always like to see that, but there are times where this kind of thing really works. And it's almost similar to like when back in the day, a Hulk Hogan would Hulk up, or Sting would, power up, or Lex Luger, and, even Goldberg, and I'm not saying Clark Connors is the same, like, maybe build or stature of those guys, but like in front of this crowd with the story they've been telling, and him being this, graduated lying, having all this, fighting spirit that was kind of coursing through him. And, he gave TJP the middle finger, gave him the LA Dojo, hand sign, and then, eventually hit him with, what's his finisher called? The Big Game Hunter?
The trophy kill.
The trophy kill. Yeah, he hit Clark Connors with the trophy kill. And from there, it was just like 1, 2, 3. Like this guy, at least on this night, was in a different class from TJP. We've talked about this with these LA Dojo Young Lions, is that like they're fantastic talents. They've got really good marketable looks. There's, as far as a package goes, there's a lot there, but we've talked about how they need something more, something like kind of defining and something that sets them apart, that kind of lets people know what they're about as far as characters go, something that builds them. And I felt like this match was, in a way, something very character building, because this was a true elevation of Clark Connors. It wasn't just him beating a guy with a roll up, or, getting a fluke win or anything. Like, this was a big feud with an established, semi-legend in the junior division, a guy that's got long ties in history going all the way back to Inoki's dojo in LA. And Clark Connors beat him. Like, this was his big, defining, definitive win over this guy, and it was a great match. Like, right now, I mean, I don't think there's been any better New Japan match in February so far. It might get surpassed, but as of right now, this is my match of the month for New Japan. I'm like, I don't know, 4.25 on it, maybe. Yeah, probably 4.25.
Oh wow, man, high there. Yeah, I think I'm probably like 4 stars. I'll go 4 stars flat on it. I'm thinking. But yeah, definitely a great main event, and we do have some big title matches coming up in Japan, so it might end up getting surpassed. But as of right now, yeah, it's definitely the best match of Japan for February. One thing that bothered me specifically about this match and kind of the whole show, but specifically this match, was just the camera
lighting.
work. The lighting and the camera work. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like the hard camera, like it got crooked. And so when they would like switch to the hard cam, like the ring looked like it was like off balance. I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, what happened between the first match and this match where the camera was like all like looked like it's lopsided, and it just didn't look great. And the lighting, like, I know we've talked about like the production issues with Strong before, but that's the one thing that hurts this show. Like, you never know what you're gonna get in each city. Like, some cities production looks great, and then other cities, the production is like we got here in Seattle, where like some of the match is good, some of it's bad, and I'm guessing they're using the local production crews in each city. But man, I think at some point they really need to invest in like a strong camera crew that is the main crew anywhere they go, or they need to get like a technical director that's kind of in charge to make sure that these camera guys, the cameras are set up correctly, and that it looks the best that it possibly can.
Yeah, I don't disagree. At all. The one thing I did that was bad, and even though Clark Connors had an incredible performance here, selling wise and firing up and just everything, but the one bad part, remember when he did the splash that TJP does?
Yeah, the Mamba Splash.
Yeah, his Mamba Splash was trash. Super janky, but other than that, everything was fantastic.
Dude, there was one move TJP did. It was a Magistral driver. That was raw. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before.
TJP did a lot of really cool stuff in this match. I mean, say what you will about the guy, but he's a great wrestler.
Yeah, it seems to be a theme with, United Empire guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It almost feels like Jeff Cobb does not belong there.
Well, next week will be night 2 of the New Beginning USA tour. Got the big main event of Finjuice taking on Jonah and Bad Dude Tito. Josh Barnett will make his return as he takes on Ren Narita. And then the opener of the show will be Bullet Club's Hikuleo taking on Cody Chun, making his strong debut. A Seattle native, wrestles for Defy Wrestling there in Seattle. So he's getting a shot here on Strong against the young gun Hikuleo. So now we'll move on to what's going on in Japan. So first we got to talk about some COVID-19 protocols that force some changes to Sunday's house show and Monday's televised show on NJPW World. So New Japan announced that 4 wrestlers were off of Sunday's event in Chiba and Monday's Korakuen Hall show due to medical protocols. Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, Taiji Ishimori, and Jado were removed from the shows either because they presented fevers or had close contact with someone who presented with a fever. So there were tag matches on each event that were modified due to the protocols.
Well, that's not great to hear, but all the reports are that it's not been a big deal for these particular wrestlers if they do have COVID, or if not, it's just been minor, fevers, things like that. But good on the company for taking the proper measures and protections to just ensure the safety of everybody, and then having at least enough sense of a booking ability to kind of have some plans in place to audible, even if they're not the most ideal things. They have ways to kind of keep the stories going and still ensure that the show goes on.
Yeah. So we had a show here from Korakuen Hall on Monday. part of the New Year's Golden Series. The show opened up with Great-O-Khan defeating Yuta Nakashima. 5 minutes and 54 seconds. Okan knocking Yuta out here with a big elbow and getting the win here.
Yeah, nothing major, but kind of just interesting to see Okan just on a warpath, rampaging through these young lions. And I thought Kevin Kelly was good on the call, just kind of highlighting how Okan doesn't want to be here in the opening spots. He doesn't want to be wrestling these young lions, and he's kind of taking it out on them and kind of showing his viciousness, because he did beat Yuta Nakashima with that gigantic elbow, knocked him out. But instead of going for a TKO or a ref stoppage or a knockout, he still added insult to injury by getting the pinfall on top of it.
Yeah, and with all these wins, like you mentioned, it makes me feel like he might get like a run, maybe a New Japan Cup or something interesting on the rise for Okan.
The other thing too is he's wearing his big match gear every night against the Lions.
Yeah,
something about that, because we've seen him have singles matches. Well, maybe not. Does he always wear that gear for singles matches? It's hard to say.
Maybe
I don't know.
He does, because usually on the road to, he's usually in a multi-man with like Cobb or Hanara, and he wears the other gear. So maybe this is just anytime he wears a singles match, he wears this gear.
Well, we had theorized earlier that that his Trunks look was something that he did for like the lesser of matches, and that only in the big matches would he break out, the whatever the long boy gear, or the more extravagant gear that he's wearing. Whether that's true or not, I mean, I think it's kind of telling that he's wearing that gear, wrestling Lions, and he's not putting on Trunks, something that would be similar to what the young Lions are wearing. Because if you think about it, Okan's only been back from excursion not too long, so it's not like he wasn't in their place all that long ago. And he's really just making it known, like, I'm not like you.
Yeah.
I've made it, and if I have anything to do with it, you're not going to make it. So eat this fucking elbow.
Yeah. So nice little fun short opener there. Then we move on to the second match. We had Bushi and Hiromu defeating Kosei Vegeta and Rihoi Oiwa. Once again, Hiromu upped the stakes in the match here, put on his Kamatachi mask, and said if one of the guys could get the mask off, that he would give them, I believe it was 100,000 yen. And so in the middle of the match, Kosei Vegeta was able to get the mask off of Hiromu, and kind of got like a big pop from the crowd there. But unfortunately, that wasn't just for the win. He had to keep wrestling, and Hiromu got him in the Boston Crab and tapped him out. But Hiromu, a man of his word, gave him the envelope of cash after the match. Oiwa looked pretty happy when he saw the cash.
Yeah, I hope it's real. Because, you hear the stories about, like, the Lions in the dojo and, like, how they're starving and, like, they're just eating Chunko, like, night and day, and they can't afford to go out. I'm hoping that $100 is real, so they can, like, go out and hit the town and, like, get a good meal.
Next matchup, we had the Bullet Club team of Gato, who's filling in for Taiji Ishimori, teamed up with Yujiro Takahashi to defeat the team of Tiger Mask and Tomioka Hanma, 10 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah, this was fine. You got a lot of olds in this match, and then Yujiro, who's basically an old as well. So, it's what you'd expect from a Gato Bullet Club tag team match with Hanma in it. It was fine. The big story coming out of this is they're building up the upcoming challenge of Bullet Club's cutest tag team against Flying Tiger for the junior tag team titles. Like you mentioned, Gato kind of stepping in for Taiji Ishimori. There is an upcoming special singles match that had originally been Taiji Ishimori against Tiger Mask. It's now being rescheduled to Gato versus Tiger Mask. And post-match, we saw Gato and Yujiro, kind of take out their frustrations on Tiger Mask. They had Yujiro hold Tiger Mask while Gato hit him in the face with brass knuckles, kind of getting some heat and building to the upcoming special singles match there. So, I think they're doing the best they can with what they got in this situation.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a while that we've seen a House of Torture member team with somebody not associated with that unit.
I didn't even think about that at all. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess that settles the great debate. Bullet Club is fine.
So next up, we had a big 8-man tag here. Suzuki-gun members Doki, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. They defeated the team of Tenkoji, Tenzan Kojima, Toru Yano, and Yuji Nagata 10 minutes and 24 seconds.
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of the more talked about matches on this card, just because of all of the ongoing storyline shenanigans between Minoru Suzuki and Toru Yano revolving around KOPW. Toru Yano brought out a gigantic dog kennel at the start of the match. And, I'm still kind of wondering what all that's about, because, I mean, up to now we've had, Yano messing around with all these, what are they called? Why do I forget words? What's wrong with
The
them?
handcuffs.
Yeah, the handcuffs. And, and that still kind of came into play here. But at one point, Minoru Suzuki decided he was going to handcuff himself to Toru Yano so Yano couldn't get away from him. But then they had the dog kennel out there, and that kind of came into play later in the match where Yano was brawling with Taka Michinoku, and he trapped Taka in the dog kennel. But I'm like, what kind of fucking stipulations are we getting for this KOPW match?
Well, Josh, I'm glad you asked. 'Cause I do have the stipulations. I was going to do it a little bit later.
Wait. Before you do that, is there any chance it's a cage match?
No.
Well then I don't give a fuck. Like I saw a cage and I was like, oh, maybe.
Well, I guess in a way it's a cage match.
Nah. If it's not, solid steel cage surrounding a solid steel cage, Codyism. It's not that, then I don't want it.
Well, here are the steps. So this is from New Japan. So after Yano handcuffed him to the ropes on several occasions in January, the current trophy holder, Minoru Suzuki, has proposed a handcuff death match. In this bout, there will be no disqualifications, and both men will start with handcuffs on their wrists, allowing the possibility for them to be chained to anything, including one another.
Oh, wow.
In response, as demonstrated by Yano on Taka Michinoku on Monday in Korakuen, Suzuki's challenger has proposed a dog cage match. In this bout, the only way to win will be to lock your opponent in the dog cage at ringside.
I hate that because, I mean, like, this is all trickster stuff. I wanted, like, Suzuki to be like, MMA match. We fight for real doing MMA. And then it's like, okay. And then, Yano has to, like, show up, and fucking fight this man. There's no way out. So I don't know. It's just more KOPW bullshit, I guess. I shouldn't care, I guess.
Yeah, I think we were hoping with Suzuki as a trophy holder, we might get a little bit more serious or more normal pro wrestling stipulations. But yeah, we're still living in this Toru Yano KOPW world, these goofy stipulations. So Josh, which one will you be voting for here?
Probably the handcuffs. I mean, I just feel like there's more possibility for violence to be, on display. Like the dog kennel one sounds kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I could just see like Toru Yano dodging some move from Suzuki and Suzuki falling into the shit, and, Yano sitting on it and locking it up and him just smiling and Suzuki trying to get out, but he's locked in. That just sounds horrible to me. I don't want that at all. But I bet you there's a bunch of fucking, ironic wrestling ghouls that would love some shit like that. Same people that like Danhausen and R-Truth and, Yano.
Hey, what's wrong with R-Truth?
And Orange Cassidy. It's goofball shit, bro.
Oh, man. R-Truth, one of the greatest finessers of all time.
He is, and I'm not trying to hate on him, but when was the last time you wanted to see an R-Truth match? 2011 when he was wrestling John Cena. Like, I can't think of anything since then.
When he was smoking on national television in the arena.
When he wore a Confederate Army uniform on Monday Night Raw on the USA Network.
Yes.
Fuck.
Oh, man. So, yeah. So,
also, since we're on the subject, is Danhausen now a member of Chaos? Is that where we're at?
Maybe he came out with Cassidy and Utah last week on Dynamite, so he seems to be best friends adjacent right now. I don't know if he's officially in best friends, but if he does join that group, I would assume that he will be a member of Chaos.
Along with the Briscoes. Nice.
Oh, man. So moving on here, we had a tag
Ultimate Chaos Tag Team. 10-man unit, 5 guys. Danhausen, Mikey Nichols, the Briscoes, and Sue. The elite of chaos.
Yeah.
What a fantastic. Oh, and Jay White probably. Throw Jay White in there at some point.
He's still in Chaos?
No, this is like all-time tag team.
Oh, okay. It's all-time Chaos members. Okay.
All-time Chaos members.
Well, speaking of Chaos, we had Chaos members Ishii and Yo. They lost to House of Torture member Evil.
Oh,
and
also
Sho.
before we move on, Suzuki-gun won that match.
Oh yeah, Taichi. Yeah, he hit my boy Kojima with the Black Mephisto to get the win there.
Yeah.
So this match, House of Torture, Evil and Sho, they defeated Chaos, Ishii, and Yo by disqualification at the end of the match. Yo had it. He snapped. He took the wrench and blasted Sho with the wrench right in front of the referee. Didn't care, and then just unloaded some lefts and rights on a unconscious Sho.
Listen, I'll say this much. Was it good to see someone get their comeuppance on a House of Torture member? Yes. Did that make the DQ somewhat satisfying? Yeah, it did. But was it worth it to build up the when did Sho like turn? Let's just work off Sho specifically. Was like in August?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's just do quick math. 6 months. The 6 months of shitty Sho matches was not like worth it to get this comeuppance. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably some people that are like, see if you build a heel up the right way, the people want to see him get beat. I'm like, no, bro. Like, I don't need to see him have terrible matches for 6 months to get this one moment on this, Road to level Golden Series, fifth, third from the top match. Like, but that being said, in a vacuum, yes, it worked for me to see Yo hit this man Sho with the wrench and knock him out. It was finally good to see someone in New Japan get some semblance of come up in some of these guys and to give them a taste of their own medicine. So I kind of did like that. I'm not going to sit here and like justify what they've done with House of Torture by praising this, but in a vacuum, it worked.
Yeah, it was good for this show, and it was kind of something like Kevin Kelly has mentioned, that these Chaos guys and Hentai guys need to get some comeuppance on House of Torture and fight fire with fire and stop letting House of Torture kind of run over them. So it was good for this, but I'm still not thrilled to see their upcoming singles match.
But with that being said, this is the best thing that's happened for their singles match the entire time that they've been feuding.
That is true.
None of their segments or matches, like nothing that they've done up to now, like not the Sho turn on Yo, not the, Yo making his big returns, not even the Sho interference during the Super Junior finals. None of that shit really like moved, kind of got to me. Like all of that was just like, whatever. But this was one time where like Yo like laid this man out, and then Sho did an all-time like sell job, just like dead. dead people be like, show just laying there. And, that was great, but it might be a little too little too late for me to care a lot about Show versus Yo, but I do care a little bit more than I did before, which was not at all.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope they can deliver somewhat of a decent match when they face off soon.
Yeah, this is United Empire versus Tenkojiism from last year. Having a feud, ending it on DQs in the February tour. This is the same shit.
We had a question here from our user, The Dark Soldier, about a House of Torture member, Yujiro. It says that despite being a pimp, is Yujiro Takahashi a hoe? He's a member of Chaos, turns on them to join Bullet Club. Sides of Kenny for the Bullet Club Civil War, sides of Bullet Club Elite, then goes back to Bullet Club proper. Now he's with the House of Torture. What gives?
I mean, you could say he's a hoe, and in a way he is because he sucks But when you spell it out that way, it makes me sound like this man's finessing his way and failing up all the time. Like, man went from Chaos, joined Bullet Club, the hottest faction going in the entire company at the time, the first ever domestic star to join Bullet Club. Then he joined the right side, joined Kenny's side in the Civil War, failed up again. Then when, Kenny and them leave, he's like, you know what? Going back on the other side, And then, House of Torture, those guys are getting pushed. They're getting paydays. They're getting titles. He knows where his bread is buttered. Like, say what you will about Yujiro Takahashi as far as a performer, as far as a man, as far as a pimp goes, but never question his business making decisions. This guy always chooses the right side. He does not lose.
Yeah, smart businessman. He's a finesser. He's gonna make sure he ends up in the winning or the most popular group. He's now 1/3 of the Never Six-Man champs because of the lateral switch there to the House of Torture. So he's always found this way. He's always winning. He's like Jeff Jarrett. He keeps winning.
Who else in New Japan is doing so much with so little? And also, who else in New Japan has Peter on their arm?
Yeah.
This man stays winning. I don't care.
Yes. We also had a question here from Reddit user Cultural Internet 717. It says, "Why is House of Torture?"
Oh man, that's too deep of a question. I mean, to ask why is House of Torture? I mean, why are they the way they are? Why are they the House of Torture? I feel like that goes into like deep psychological type issues.
Some lore.
That's some lore. We would have to like sit down Evil Watanabe, sit him down on the couch, have him talk to, a professional and really delve deep into his childhood trauma, his formative years, what caused this? Why are you the way you are? And why is this group the way that they are? And I don't think that this show is the proper platform to unravel all that. I mean, we only go 3+ hours every week, so I don't think we have enough time to discuss all that.
Maybe that'll be a bonus, behind the paywall.
Never. It never will. I'm not spending any more time to talk about House of Torture lore. I'll take some time to talk about Yujiro, because he's a pimp, but the rest of them, I don't know, bro.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the semi-main event of this evening. We had the LIJ team of Sonata, Shingo, and Naito defeating Tanahashi, Okada, and Togi Makabe, 15 minutes and 40 seconds. So obviously here we have the U.S. program with Sonata and Tanahashi, the world title program with Okada and Naito. So building those two big matches.
Yeah, this is probably the match of the night. No surprise there. Sonata and Tanahashi, a lot of clean, classic chain wrestling exchanges between them. That kind of fits into the story that they're trying to tell. Naito spent much of the match attacking everybody's knees, which plays into the story between him and Okada, the ongoing odyssey since 2012. He he targets knees. That's what he does. There's part of me that thinks like Naito is just envious that he doesn't have knees anymore. He wants to make sure no one else can have any more knees. And so, but for whatever reason, he has chosen to target Okada's knees once again in this match. And then, Makabe and Shingo are kind of the odd men out, but they both are hard hitters. And I felt like their interactions in the match were actually the highlights, much like the Nagata Shingo matches were your interactions were the highlights of a similar match on the same tour. And, obviously Shingo beat Togi Makabe to kind of wrap things up here. Naito, attacked Okada post-match on the outside, put him in a figure-4 leg lock, continued to do more damage to the knees, kind of building a target for himself going into their title match.
Yeah, then Tanahashi, he grabbed the U.S. belt, and Sonata was kind of staring him down. Handsome battle stare off there. Togi Makabe, he usually limits his bumps, but he had no choice to bump when he was in there with the Dragon. Shingo hauled him up, got him up for the last of the Dragon, dropped him hard.
Yeah, I mean, he was in there with 4 top competitors and Sonata. So, when you're in there with 4 top competitors, 4 world champion caliber level talents and Sonata, you go hard, okay? Instead of doing 2 bumps, you do 3 or 4. All right, you up it.
You get pinned. You take the pin.
Yeah.
So then we move on to the big main event here. Main event, Watto teams up with Taguchi, team 6 or 9. They defeat the Suzuki team of El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru 23 minutes and 16 seconds.
Is that official now? Are they 6 or 9 now?
Yeah, the ring announcer, he said he called them team 6 or 9.
Because that wasn't their name before.
I know they had some other name, but now.
I think it was 8. I thought it was 8 or 1.
Well, now they're 6 or 9, and their new tag finisher is number 9, which they used to win the match here.
Oh my god, this is gonna bother me. Like, I'm looking this shit up.
What
yeah,
their old team was.
I want to figure out what the name of the fucking team was. I'm looking it up. You can keep talking about this shitty match.
So we had the main event here. It was building up the upcoming junior title match between Watto and Desperado that's coming up this weekend. And, I thought it was a good showcase here for Watto. Watto's been looking really good in these multi-man matches with Desperado. And if you remember, this all stems back to the pre-show of Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, where Watto tapped out Despy with his new submission hold, and that's what got him the title match here. And so these guys are looking good. It seems like Watto and Taguchi are also going to be vying for a potential future junior tag title shot. The emphasis on this new name, 6 or 9, and this new finisher they had here, the number 9, which was a dodon into a downward spiral / pay dirt type maneuver here. Also got the win over on Kanemaru. So Master Watto has a lot of momentum going into this weekend's junior title match. Build some credibility for the challenger here. It seemed like the crowd was really behind Watto and Taguchi here, and especially Watto, and wanted to see him pull the upset over Desperado.
Okay, so I looked it up, and I was correct. The name of the team officially was 1 or 8. And I don't know why they're called 1 or 8. I think it's some sort of like pun playing off something in Japanese that we maybe like is kind of lost in translation. I don't know. But or at least I recall being told something to that effect. But I guess they're not 1 or 8 anymore. I guess they're 6 or 9.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Match was fine. Nothing really to complain here. This was one where I don't think it needed 23 minutes. I get why they did it. It's the main event. You want them to kind of be a showcase, but I don't know. This thing could have gone like 12 or 14 minutes for me. It probably would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been fine. I didn't mind too much. I mean, I thought it was a good main event for a Corkin show and great way to spotlight the junior title program.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. obviously, like you mentioned, the big thing here is just you know, building Watto as a credible challenger for Desperado, where he has seemed to kind of have the upper hand against Desperado almost the entirety of their little mini feud here, leading to their title match. And Taguchi picking up the big win here against Kanemaru, and Watto kind of finding ways to frustrate and defeat El Desperado leading into their match.
Yeah. We had a question here from Twitter follower William at Hayabusa5595. If you could swap Watto's blue Karen hairstyle with anyone else on the roster, who would you choose?
Miho Abe. I don't know, man. Probably who could probably pull it off? The man who's able to pull off any hairstyle known to man.
The Ace?
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, and Tanahashi's hair I think would look good on Watto, make him look more like a star.
Bro, I would do anything to have Tanahashi's hair. My God. My life would turn around. If I had Tanahashi's hair, do you know what kind of doors that could open for me in my life?
Forbidden doors?
So many doors, bro. If I walked back into Sai Dojo with Tanahashi's hair, I would do no jobs. I'd be beating everybody within weeks. Entirety, Matt included.
Oh man. Yeah, and there's funny there. The meme resurfaced today of Tanahashi with all of his various haircuts throughout the years. And one of our friends, I believe it was Jamie, who made a meme that was like, thank you for being the ace of the universe. Not you, like on the middle of the Tanahashi with like the afro thing he had going on at one point.
Well, when he had that really curly like hair that was like dyed like orange, it was terrible looking. But I've said this on the show at the time, but like until I showed the photo today in a group text, I don't think people realize like when he looked like that, he looked like the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. And I mean, like, it's uncanny how much Tanahashi looks like that guy in that one moment. It's horrible.
Yeah, that was hilarious when you posted that in the group chat. And Dan, a friend of the show, Dan Coffin, he posted Dustin from Stranger Things. I thought it was pretty funny as well.
Yeah, that was not his best look. I don't know how we got to that, but anybody that you think Watto would look good with, or anybody on the roster that you think would look good with Watto's hair, maybe we should be generous and give it to someone who's like bald, like Ishii. I don't know.
I think Hiromu could pull off the blue hair as well.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's gonna do it for our review of New Japan Golden Series. Night 6. My biggest thoughts on it were, nothing here that you needed to see, but there was like a lot of little storytelling elements. This was kind of your middle of the tour Road to-esque type of show, but coming up very soon, we have a lot of bigger shows that this was sort of laying the groundwork and foundation for.
Yeah, so we got a lot of big shows coming up in February, especially coming up this weekend with a lot of grudge matches, a lot of title matches. So yeah, this kind of just setting the floor for what the rest of the month is going to look like. We do have some breaking news here on a talent announced for the aforementioned Tampa show, Strong Style Evolved. The walking weapon, the former Impact champion, Josh Alexander, will be coming to Tampa for New Japan Strong.
I mean, I'm excited for that. I like Josh Alexander a lot. But, around these parts, when you bring an Impact guy, it's not quite the same as bringing, like, say, an AEW guy.
Right.
In terms of interest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not sure how much that's going to increase ticket sales, but I'm a huge fan of Josh Alexander. He's done great on the two. I think he had like 2 or 3 strong matches now. And he's had an awesome run in Impact so far. So looking forward for seeing Josh Alexander live here in Tampa.
Yeah, I saw something about him having a really fantastic AAW match. It looked like it might have been against Mike Bennett. So we're gonna have to check that out. Something's telling me that Josh Alexander might meet the threshold for excursion match of the year this year, so we'll see.
Yeah. So some other news coming out of Monday's Golden Series tour leading into this weekend shows. We had some injuries and some more COVID-19 protocols. So New Japan announced that Jeff Cobb is currently recovering from a left patellar tendon tear and a muscle strain in his left leg following his match against Tetsuya Naito on January 5th. As a result, he will not be on the Golden Series tour at all. Young Lion Yuto Nakashima is also out of action after suffering a blow to the head on February 7th and will be out up to February 13th. Additionally, Yoshihashi and Taiji Ishimori have been pulled from the February 11th event in Sendai due to COVID protocols. Cobb was originally set to team with Great Okan on the 11th against Kojima and Tenzan. Instead, Okan will face Kojima in a singles match and will continue to wrestle in singles matches for the rest of the tour, including the February 13th event in Osaka, where he will face Togi Makabe. Nakashima was originally set to team in the kickoff match on the 13th. That match has been changed to Oiwa, Kojima, and Tenzan facing Vegeta, Honma, and Nagata. A six-man tag that Yoshihashi was scheduled to be in will now have Tenzan take his place as he teams with Goto and Ishii to face Evil, Dick Togo, and Yujiro Takahashi. And then Gato will replace Ishimori in a singles match against Tiger Mask.
Yeah. Part of me just feels like Nakanishi's looking at all this and being like, thank God I'm not still working there.
Yeah,
you
he
know,
did.
Calling in Tenzan to all these spots that you just know they probably would have called him into, but he's like, thank God I'm not there. I could just eat Monster Mornings and watch the show. I don't have to take more bumps. It's great.
Yeah. And yeah, interesting too with Cobb. I know we were kind of speculating that maybe the reports of his injury might have been false just because of the story of that rivalry in that match was so revolved around the leg of Cobb, and Naito, focused in on that leg, but it looks like he does have a legit injury here and is going to miss the rest of this tour.
Based off what?
Based off the IWGP committee and their report to New Japan medical team.
Oh, you just believe anything that anybody tells you, Jeremy? Let me tell you a story about the IWGP committee, okay? No, I'm just playing. But, here's the thing. Could it be that he had some sort of pre-existing condition and they knew they were going to give him time off and they wanted to work it into the storyline, so they had Naito target that leg, and now they're parlaying that over to Okada to add some intrigue and heat to that match, and it was all legit originally. That is possible. There's also the chance that his leg's fine and he just was due for some time off and they're giving him that much needed time off from the tour, but they need to work it into a story and they're just like, oh yeah, Jeff, he's fucked. Tendon tear, muscle strain, left leg's gone. Naito fucked him up. And now, Jeff's at home with family recouping, he's good, but and all that. And then now Naito has an angle for his leg attacks on Okada. Or maybe it's all just happenstance, Who knows? I'm not going to believe this. The fact that Naito's focusing so much on Okada's leg, and then he focused on Cobb's leg, but now Cobb's leg is magically injured. It just sounds a little too convenient to me, honestly. Wrestling's a carny business. Workers work, and I'm not going to get worked. I'm too smart to get worked. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a work, bro. It's a work, and anyone that believes it's not, you're a mark.
Well, hopefully Cobb, whether injured or not, will be ready to go in March for the anniversary event and the New Japan Cup. I'm sure he will be a big part in that if he's ready to go.
Hey, and if Jeff is actually hurt and I'm wrong, then this was all for comedic effect. I mean, no offense at all. And we really respect and love Jeff Cobb. And I hope he's doing good. No, I mean that actually. But, that would suck to be like the guy that's like, he's faking it. And he's really hurt,
Yeah. Well, we got two big shows coming up this weekend. We have a Golden Series show in Sendai, February 11th, and then we have a show on Sunday the 13th in Osaka. So on the Sendai show, we're going to have the opening match with Tomioka Hanuma against Rohei Oiwa. We'll have a Suzuki team of Doki and Kanemaru against the LIJ team of Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi. Tenzan, Goto, and Ishii will take on Dick Togo, Yujiro, and Evil. Taguchi, Makabe, and Yano will take on Suzuki, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. Then we'll have a singles match, Satoshi Kojima versus Great Okan. Then Tanahashi, Okada, and Nagata will take on Sonata, Shingo, and Naito. Then we'll have three singles matches to call it the show here. We'll have Tiger Mask taking on Gato, Yo taking on Sho, and then the main event will be for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. El Desperado will defend the title against Master Watto of Team 6 or 9.
Yeah, so I mean, the notable stuff on this show, Kojima and Okan, that's interesting. You were kind of speculating on what they were going to do with him as far as the wins and as far as like a push. And, because Cobb is out, he's going to be just working singles for the rest of the tour. So there might be some smoke to that fire there. But as far as the top of the card there, I mean, we've got Tiger Mask versus Geto and Yo versus Sho. Obviously, Tiger Mask and Geto was supposed to be an Ishimori match, like we mentioned earlier. So sort of a preview for the junior tag titles. Any intrigue there? What are you thinking on that match, Jeremy?
Yeah, not totally excited about that match. I mean, it's going to be Gato using all his Bullet Club shenanigans, and it's going to be Grumpy Tiger Mask, which that might be fun watching Tiger Mask just being pissed off and trying to beat the crap out of Gato. But, I mean, I'm expecting a nice little gentleman's three-star affair, and Tiger Mask getting the win.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you there. Not much to really unravel. It's probably going to be exactly what you would expect. Semi-main event, Yo and Sho. This is the feud that will never end, and it almost feels like it never really started. It's the feud from Limbo, I think this is the fourth major singles meeting of these two during this breakup period. And I think, if I recall correctly, Yo is up 2-1 on Sho at this point, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know what to really expect here. What's going on with House of Torture and Chaos for the rest of the tour? Just like brief overview.
So House of Torture, they will be defending the Never Six Man titles at some point against Chaos, and then
Yo's in that match.
No, I think it might be the original Chaos trio if I remember correctly.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the Osaka show on Sunday, Evil defends the Never title against Ishii.
Okay, so this is kind of one and done for Yo as far as this little feud is concerned. I mean, I'm sure he'll still be doing some Ultimate matches, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not excited for it. I mean, they've had three big opportunities.
Sorry, I'm wrong. Yo is in that Never title match, that 6-man match. It's Yo, Yoshihashi, and Goto as the challengers.
Oh, that changes everything. This is high stakes. Really interested in this match now. It's got big implications for the 6-man tag team titles. I don't know, man. They've had 4 matches. Super Juniors. They had one in a big dome. They had another one in the Tokyo Dome. I mean, I feel like they've given them like big stages, big opportunities, and I don't feel like they've knocked it even kind of out of the park. Like, I don't think they've had a single match that would go like even above 3.5.
Yeah.
And considering the talents that are involved, that just seems so ludicrous. Hopefully they bring some of that same fire that we saw featured during this most recent preview tag match. But I know this is going to sound fucked up, but like, I don't really know who's going to win, and I don't really think it matters. So I'm just going to say push on this one, literally. Like, I don't know. It's insignificant to me.
I'm going to go with Yo just to kind of even up things. But
if Yo wins that, he'll be 3-1.
Oh, that's right. So Yo is up on the right. Yeah.
Yeah, because we all thought Sho was going to win at the Tokyo Dome, and then he did. So it's like I don't know what to expect here. But the only thing that would matter to me is if they have a good match. Can you guys just have a good match, Yo and Sho, 3K, 3K, 3K? Can you go out there and like just give me like a fucking banger? You're supposed to be like two of the best juniors out there.
Yeah, this is like make or break at this point. Like you got the semi-main event spot. It's a big spot on this show. Like you gotta deliver here. Like here's it's the last chance for these guys.
Yeah, and considering like the state the junior division is in, and you got Desperado defending the title at the top, you would imagine that potentially whoever wins this might be in contention for that title. With that being the case, I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe Sho should be the guy that wins so he could be like the next challenger for Despy. I don't know.
I'm not. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I'm not really that interested in a House of Torture show versus Despy.
Is there anybody on this roster that you'd be interested to see Desperado wrestle that's a junior, period, other than Hiromu Takahashi?
Maybe Eagles, ELP.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's not much out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's a good shout. Yeah, Sho winning and then coming at the challenge, the winner of Despy and Watto.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Who knows, man? I don't know. That's my prediction. Sho wins. Sho's gonna cheat. He's gonna win, and you know what? He's probably gonna beat Desperado for the title next too. Fucking cheating.
So I think we're on the same page that Despy is gonna retain over Mr. 1/2 of 6 or 9 here.
This is not looking to be a top-notch show. Yeah, I think Sho wins here. As far as Desperado goes, yeah, I think he's going to retain against Watto. This is actually a match that I am excited for because Watto hasn't headlined in a big singles role in a long time, and I think the last time he did was against Desperado in the Super Juniors 2 years ago, and he beat Desperado at that time. So, maybe they've been telling a little bit of a low-key story where he's got Desperado's number. We haven't noticed, but I think Despy's going to beat Watto here. And it'll be interesting to see what happens post-match. Whether, like, the winner of Sho or Yo has enough time to, like, recoup and come out and challenge, or, maybe some of those outside guys that they teased before, like El Lindemann or T-Hawk or, Shima, one of the Strong Hearts guys comes out or something else. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'd be really surprised if Watto somehow ended up with a title here. I think it's going to be, Despy's big run here after, beating Hiromu in the Tokyo Dome. Despy's going to get the win here. And then, I think the big key here is who's going to be the next challenger, like you mentioned.
The key here for me is have a good match. Don't make me tune into the show and give me 5 singles matches and, nothing noteworthy, because that's what we got a Hanma versus Oiwa. We got Kojima versus Okan, Tiger Mask versus Geto, Yo versus Sho, Despy versus Watto. And I mean, those aren't the most compelling matchups, but you got 5 of them. That's pretty rare for a Road to style Golden Series show. So give me something. Let me stick my teeth into something here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, Kojima and Okan could be like the sleeper of the night. That ends up being the match of the night.
Could be. I would put my money on Desperado and Watto though, and this is again a big test for Watto. We'll see where he is in his upward mobility and trajectory. So I've got faith in him based on his recent performances, and I think that they could actually have a very good match.
Yeah, I think it should be a good matchup, good main event for this show here.
The next night, this is on February the 12th. What day is that?
Sunday.
Okay, so the Sunday show, New Japan New Year's Golden Series 2022, night 10. We open up with a multi-man match, Vegeta, Oiwa, and Tenzan. They'll be taking on Nagata, Fujita, and Honma Match 2, we got the cast team of Goto, Yo, and Yoshihashi taking on the House of Torture team of Dick Togo, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi. Match number 3, we got Togi Makabe against Great Khan in singles action. Fourth match, we have Doki, Taichi, and Hanamaru taking on the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, and Shingo. Fifth match of the night, Watto, Taguchi, and Yano will be taking on the Suzuki-gun team of Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Taka Michinoku. Sixth match of the night, singles action, Tiger Mask versus El Fantasmo, a preview of the upcoming junior title tag team match. Seventh match of the night, Taiji Ishimori against Robbie Eagles. I'm assuming that could maybe potentially be changed, but as of right now, it seems to be the same, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, two singles preview matches leading to the junior tag team titles. Eighth match of the night, the never openweight title lumberjack match as Evil defends his title against Tomohiro Ishii. And then in the main event, we have Tanahashi and Okada taking on the LIJ team of Sonata and Tetsuya Naito.
So a little bit of a stronger card here. Still, we got a lot of singles matches here as well. Obviously, the big matchups here, the last 4 matchups. So we got, like you mentioned, the preview match with Tiger Mask and ELP and Ishimori and Eagles. Hopefully, Ishimori will be cleared for that show. I could definitely see, the Heyman special being run here, where the finish of Tiger Mask and ELP rolls right into the Ishimori and Robbie Eagles match. But those should be some fun matches and really good. And then, the big question mark here with the never open weight lumberjack match. We saw Evil give Ishii his worst match ever this past Wrestle Kingdom. And, Gator decided to run it back again as a lumberjack match.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big fan of lumberjack matches, and I'm not a big fan of Evil versus Ishii in any form or, iteration at all at this point. So, adding more stipulations to an already shenanigans-filled Evil match does not spell, that doesn't sound like it's going to work out to me. But, I don't know. Like, this is just where I'm at. The same way where I was with the show match. I'm kind of just writing off House of Torture matches, We'll cover them because it's for the show. But, I mean, at no point in the 4 years that we've been doing this show have I ever been so apathetic and so disinterested in any individual or group or storyline or aspect of this company. I mean, it is just total shit. It is dog shit. It sucks. It is not good. It is the opposite of good. It is the opposite of what New Japan is. It is bullcrap. I don't even want to see. I don't care if Ishii beats Evil, because Evil has sullied the good name of the never openweight title by having lumberjack matches. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I hope Ishii wins. I don't want to watch this match. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, not expecting great things here. With Ishii, like we mentioned, being advertised for the Lone Star Shootout and Windy City Riot, it makes me kind of think maybe he might win the Never title, so you can do some Never title matches on both of those shows. But Evil did just win it, so I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up here. I'm just gonna.
It is the Never title,
right? It could flop hands. I'm gonna throw some hope out there. I'm just gonna say, Big Tom gets the win, holds down the Never title, reclaims it and tries to restore it back to what it should be, and gets the win over Evil here.
Well, it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Evil wins, right, then the Never title is held hostage on this guy that sucks and everything that's involved in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it keeps Evil away from other title pictures. He can't be involved in top line feuds and world title stuff if he's preoccupied with the Never belt. On the flip side, I would love for Ishii to be the guy that has the Never title, because then at that point, the Never title kind of resumes the former role that it's had in the past, which is an important function of the existence of that title. But then on the opposite side is if Evil loses, he could fail up and he could go for the US belt, or he could go for the world title, and he could be a viable contender for the for not KOPW, for the New Japan Cup, which are all things I don't want to see happen. So it's like I just want them to get Evil the fuck out of this company. That, like, I hate House of Torture.
Yeah,
You know?
it's horrible, and like
It's horrible.
I saw a poll on Reddit, on New Japan Reddit, talking about, I forgot exactly what it was, but something about like,
Dude, I saw that poll.
like,
I thought that poll was bullshit.
like do you want House of Torture to go away? But most people said yes. I thought.
Yeah, no, I saw a poll that was like most disgusting promotional tactic, and most of the things that they were trying to say were like terrible things, were like things that weren't even big deals, or things that New Japan didn't have control over, you know? But then House of Torture was one of them. And it like by far had the most votes. Like the next closest thing was like merging the double belts. But,
yeah. I don't think they're not realizing that the House of Torture is not getting the right kind of heat they want.
Here's the thing, and we'll move on after this. There's probably some people listening right now that are maybe frustrated, maybe not, but maybe frustrated with House of Torture, but or maybe they like the product as is. I don't know. And maybe they're hearing me complain and being like, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it, you know? But here's the thing, when you love something, you truly love it, you have to hate things that are the opposite of it. And what I love about New Japan is fucking great wrestling. And the House of Torture is the antithesis of what I love about New Japan. So I have to use my voice to call out how shitty Watanabe is, and how shitty Dick Togoism is, and how bad. I mean, bro, this is so bad. It is one of the, like, anytime people try to be like, New Japan's down bad, that they'll throw out whatever they want to say, and I can usually refute it. But then they're like, Dick Togo and the House of Torture. I'm like, you got me. I can't say shit. You're right. That sucks. Like, there's no. It's indefensible. It's horrible.
Right. It's
so bad.
A huge black eye when you look at. There's so much other stuff good that's happening in the promotion right now. You have Okada and Naito getting ready to have a big match. Sonata and Tanahashi is a cool matchup. New Japan Cup's right around the corner, and guys are gonna be back for that tournament. There's the world title picture. There's so much stuff. The tag title picture. With Dangerous Tekkers, and they just lost to Goto and Yoshihashi. Like, there's been so much cool stuff happening. Wrestle Kingdom was awesome, but then you just have House of Torture there, that's just mucking everything up.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. So we can move on. The main event here, we got Tanahashi and Okada, the Mega Aces. I know that they want to coin the team, the term the Dream Team. They're not the fucking Dream Team. They're the Mega Aces, all right? And they're taking on Sonata and Naito. And it is a tough one because, in the past, they've been competing in six-man tags where there's been a designated pin eater on the Mega Aces side. And in this case, you've got, a tag team with four guys that are all involved in, big upcoming title feuds. And there's not a readily available pin eater. And so one of three things basically has to happen here. We either need to see a champion defeating a challenger defeating one of the champions, or they might go the way that they've been going in situations like this most recently, where they go the time limit. And if I had to bet, that's what I'm guessing they're going to do.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, they've done a couple of time limit draws like this where they have the champion challenger kind of tag match like this. The only other thing I was thinking, there's a few things that are certain in this life. Death, taxes, and Mega Aces lose a big tag match.
That's true.
So I was thinking, Naito or Sonata could get the win here. Maybe you have Sonata.
That's who I would have it. I'd have Sonata beat Tanahashi.
Yeah, and then that puts some doubt into that match, and you'd think, Sonata pinned him in this tag match. Maybe Sonata could win the U.S. belt.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's probably going to hit him with that European clutch.
Right. But, I mean, I could see them going the time limit draw also if they really want to protect these guys.
If they were smart, they would have Sonata put Tanahashi in the
Paradise Lock?
The Paradise Lock, and then have Naito on the outside put Okada in a figure 4 so Okada can't, interfere, and then Sonata just leaves him there. and then Tanahashi can't get out, and he can't defend himself, and the referee has no other choice but to award the victory to Sonata.
Hey, it's a strategy. You can try it.
I mean, I don't know why Sonata always gets them out of the lock. He should just leave them in the lock. They can't get out anyways. He's won the match.
Right. It should be a ref stoppage.
Ref stoppage immediately. Yeah. But hopefully that match is good. In a certain way this sounds better, but I don't know. Evil versus Ishii doesn't sound better. A tag match that might be good but might go the time limit. I don't know. And then, I don't know. I'm not convinced that this show actually is stronger than the first nights.
Yeah, it might not be, yeah.
But that's what we got coming up Saturday and Sunday. So, big big Golden Series tour shows coming up, and can't wait.
Now is the perfect time to work at Amazon. They are offering hourly jobs with great pay and even include a large sign-on bonus. No matter where you're at in the job market, you can select from a variety of available roles in your area. Join an exciting work environment and be part of a team that brings smiles to customers every day. To find the job that works for you and some extra cash, go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Thunderstruck. Adjective. Shocked and amazed by the power of fun on Carnival. Riding Bolt, the world's first roller coaster at sea, Brian got thunderstruck so hard, his 93-year-old grandmother felt it 3,000 miles away in Nebraska and immediately booked a cruise. Hooray! Get thunderstruck starting at $289. Carnival. Choose fun. Cruises are in U.S. dollars per person, double occupancy. Taxes, fees, and port expenses additional. Restrictions apply. Full details on carnival.com. Ships registry, Bahamas, Panama.
We already covered the Minoru Suzuki Toriano KOPW stipulations. Do we want to talk Lions Roar?
Yeah, we had Lions Roar episode 5 this past week. What'd you think?
Really liked this episode. One of the biggest things that they're just really getting across through each episode is the amount of physical hard work that these guys put in their preparation and in their training to be professional wrestlers. I mean, we kind of experienced that to a not similar degree, but to a smaller degree in the late 90s, early 2000s when Tough Enough first made the airways for MTV and everything like that. You kind of got a taste of what it took for, up and comers to become pro wrestlers. But I don't know that any show has ever gone as in depth the way that Lions Roar has to really just showcase what a real, true top end professional wrestling camp is like. And I mean, it's kind of insane the amount of calisthenics and cardio and just physical exertion that these guys are going through. And in a certain way, I think it's important because, you have a lot of shit talkers out there. Wrestling fans like to talk shit,
Mm-hmm.
And even on this podcast, I mean, we do it. That's how we pay the bills, we rate matches, we rate wrestlers, we give our opinions, our takes. But at the end of the day, we can talk all the shit we want about a Bad Luck Fale match. But when you see what it takes for a guy to have gone through the dojo and the dues they paid and everything like that, it makes you gain a much greater sense of respect and admiration for the performers to understand what it takes to perform on the level that they do for this company. And it does bring some things into perspective. And, I'm kind of rallying behind a couple of these guys, especially Michael Richards. But man, these guys are fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude, there's just some crazy training. You know, one of the key themes of this episode was focusing on these guys cleaning. They kept messing the toilet and not cleaning the toilet. One of the guys took a dump before the workout and didn't flush it when Fale went to check. And so he had a special workout plan. They went to this huge mountain. I forget the name of the mountain they went to. They essentially had to like run, laps around this huge mountain. It's like one of the highest peaks in New Zealand. So that's just seeing that crazy, just what a crazy setup that was to have to do that, and just how intense that was. And then they went to the one beach with the black sand and doing the bear crawls and wrestling and the fireman carries and the wheelbarrow race kind of thing, and just
sumo.
Yeah, the sumo wrestling on the beach. It's like, man, like those guys like you mentioned, man, they're crazy, and they put it all out there. And they were highlighting the one guy, I believe his name was Will Averill or something like that. And he was saying, his friends are like, are you in a cult? Like, you guys have to, go to bed at a certain time, wake up, you have to clean, you have to, all do all this training and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a crazy lifestyle. And if you want to be dedicated, you want to be a part of New Japan, like, this is what you have to go through to get there.
Yeah, man. If you guys are not watching Lions Roar, you need to be watching it. Top-notch production, great footage. Like, it's just the only thing I think it needs. I think it would really benefit from having a stronger narrative approach to it. I think that the production's fantastic, but they need someone to kind of cobble this like footage together with some sort of narration. Not that there needs to be a vocal narrator, but some stronger sense of story, and that's the only real criticism I have. But putting that aside, I mean, this show's fantastic. I think it's one of the best English language projects that they've had on New Japan World so far. And I'm a big fan of the show, and I can't wait to see, the full outcome of it once it's all done, ready, and played. And again, if you guys aren't watching it, 5 episodes in, 20 minutes each. I mean, that's like, 100 minutes. You can get that in.
Yeah, real easy watches. They breeze by. Great mix of showing the training and then interviewing a couple of the guys in the training. Thought it interesting. This week's guy Will. He thought he was doing good, and then Fale. It's like he's like one of the guys that Fale kind of has an issue with, and feel like he's not on all the time. And but he was very arrogant. He cut a little promo there, and I can see the charisma coming out of him, and I definitely feel like he has some potential there.
He's all right promo. He doesn't promo like me, but he's all right.
So yeah, overall, it's another solid episode here of Lions Roar, and it looks like this thing's gonna be rolling out like all throughout March as well. Looking at the New Japan World schedule, so several more episodes to come. All right, so we're going to move into some other news items here. So this coming week on Access, they continue their countdown of the classic episode. This week it's going to be Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jay White from the New Beginning 2019. Then in other news...
Remember how great that promo was that Jay White cut after he beat Tanahashi in this match?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. He wins the title from Tanahashi.
Yeah, this was after Tanahashi had beaten Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom, and then Jay swoops in, gets the title, and heads to Madison Square Garden.
Hey, Omega couldn't beat Tanahashi, and Tanahashi couldn't beat Jay White. That tells us that Jay White is better than Omega, so makes sense to me.
And in other Bullet Club news, the Crown Jewel Chase Owens has re-signed with NJPW. We had the tweet last week where he said his contract was up, and now he has re-signed a new contract saying that he will be with New Japan for a very long time, which I don't think anybody was really surprised about.
I was. Thank God. Okay? Thank God.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
TK was knocking the doors down. Vinnie Mac, had a big NXT 2.0 offer ready for him.
Yeah. I heard those guys from Shape Your Own Narrative. They were trying to, get Chase to sign with them. Terminus was calling him. Josh Barnett wanted him for Bloodsport. I mean, all that. So thank God,
Yes, but he chose Shinihon Pro Wrest. And then last thing here, I know last week we mentioned the results from RevPro High Stakes, but we've had a chance to watch some of the matches from this show. And Josh, I know you wanted some time to talk about this. So what matches did you see from High Stakes?
So I watched everything that was New Japan adjacent. I did not watch the Aussie Open match, although I heard good things about the British title match with them and Sunshine Machine. So I heard that was very good. But, the show started off with Coughlin against Gideon Gray in a surprise kind of impromptu comedy type match, 1 minute, 43 seconds. Coughlin went out there and kind of just beat the shit out of Gideon Gray and just like pinned him real quick. Alex looked amazing as he has been looking. I mean, he's in top-notch physical peak condition right now. And,
broke out the new gear, no longer a young lion.
Yeah, and got over with the local crowd, so that was cool. Did you see all this stuff or no?
So I saw Coughlin versus Gideon Gray. I saw Umino versus Tsuji, and then I saw Ospreay and Oku. I didn't get to catch the kid Akira match, which I heard was great, so I didn't go back and watch that.
Gotcha. So yeah, obviously Umino versus Tsuji, interesting match. The story here being that Tsuji is teamed up with Gideon Gray's group, but he was kind of brought in against his will. So they're heels, but he kind of is leaning face, but they're trying to win him over. And, they set up this match with him and Shota, who they both obviously have ties back to their Young Lion days. So it's sort of like friends, but they're being forced into an issue as, combatants. I thought the match was very, very good. I don't think that this is their final form by any means, but I still was very entertained. I thought they kicked it up into a higher gear. I went 4 stars on the match, which is pretty great. And I'm really, based on what I saw here, I'm seeing a lot of positive growth out of both Tsuji and Umino.
Yeah, it was a really good match. I'm a little bit lower than you. I'm more in the 3.5 range.
Oh, wow.
I felt the opening of the match was a little bit slow, and that is because they were kind of telling the whole story of the Legion's guy, Phillips trying to help Tsuji and Tsuji not wanting his help, and I felt like it was kind of slow, but then kind of after Tsuji hit him with the cane, they kind of picked up into a whole nother gear, and the last half of the match was really good.
Yeah, I don't deny that at all. That's pretty true. I just felt like once they got the outside tactics part kind of away, the match picked up. But even some of the, the whole thing with Tsuji being conflicted, and then I thought he had really good facials in the moment where he teased that he was turning heel and then turned on his own guy to prove that he's still a babyface. Even that stuff, I ate it up. I liked all that.
Yeah, that was great, and I love Tsuji's look, the tights that he's wearing. I think he looks great. I'm digging his excursion look, and he was really over the crowd. It seemed like the crowd was more into Tsuji than they were Umino, which is kind of crazy because Umino's somebody that they've been pushing pretty hard and has had title matches and, still represents the whole Death Rider thing with Mox. But the crowd was really into Tsuji here and, wanting him to still be face, and they popped when he, turned on Phillips, and him and Umino were kind of just having a more straight-up match.
Well, I looked on Match Guide. They're 6.88 on the match. Dave went 3.5, so right in line with where you're at. So maybe I was a little high on this. I don't know. I'm probably a mark for the Lions, whatever. But I liked it a lot. I recommend it. I mainly just recommend it for the sake of seeing these guys in their developmental phase, and we know they're coming back. So I feel like it's kind of semi-important,
Yeah, and you know these two are going to wrestle in their full form again in Japan. So this is going to be
Right.
one of those things where we look back at our rivalries like, oh, remember High Stakes 2022 when they faced off?
Right. I agree with Tsuji's look too. I think he's been watching some Volcon videos and some old shoot style stuff because that's kind of what he's looking like there. And I think I might want to steal some of his look as well. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. He did a suicide dive, which was pretty cool for a guy his size.
Yeah, I agree. As far as the other stuff here, Gabe Kidd against Francesco Akira was fantastic. 14 minutes, 45 seconds. It's got an 8.7 on Cage Match. Dave went 4.5. I went 4.5 on this as well. I agree with the question asker last week that asked, could it potentially be an excursion match of the year candidate? I think it's right on the cusp of being nominated. I can't say for sure, but it's not far off. And man, they went out there and like I kind of thought that him and oh, by the way, so the deal is Francesco Akira was working for All Japan, but I think he might not be currently since he hasn't worked for them in a bit and has just been back in England. So I don't know what the relationship is there specifically. But this was Gabe Kidd's return after being in Japan for all these years, and so Francesco Akira, he's also from the UK. So you've got two guys that both spent the majority of the pandemic in Japan working for rival companies. Both guys growing. Francesco Akira winning a title while he was with All Japan. Gabe Kidd kind of like, he was a guy in England that was like a title holder, and he kind of gave up his status as like a regional champion type guy and made himself humble to go back into the dojo system to relearn everything. And so this is kind of like the big return for both of these guys, and they're kind of like opposite sides of the same coin. And I sort of thought they'd go out there and have a British catch as catch, some of the stuff we've seen with Gabe Kidd, a lot of that classical wrestling mixed in with the hard hitting. And no, they just started fucking brawling right from the get go. And the big story of the match was Gabe Kidd using his size and physicality because he's a much bigger man than Francesco Akira is physically, and just kind of imposing his will on him. And Akira trying that fight from Gabe Kidd the entire time, but it became very clear that you were looking at a heavyweight versus a true junior is what was on display here. But these guys, they let it all hang out. Crazy stuff on the outside, crazy stuff on the rampway. This was awesome. And I mean, 4.5 for a sub 15-minute match, huge recommend. If you haven't seen it, this is one you need to go out of your way to definitely watch. And then we both saw the Ospreay Oku match, which I think we have, glowing positive, rave reviews for that match as well.
Yeah, this match was incredible. And just the whole, everything about the presentation, the video package, and just the whole story of the match. Before the match, like these guys both agreed that this match could not stop by referee stoppage. Like it had to end with a pinfall or submission. And this was kind of a very personal rivalry. Ospreay bought tickets for Oku's parents and girlfriend to be there to watch him beat up Oku and beat Oku, and they played a big role in the match. So you had the whole video package leading up. You had Ospreay with his big dramatic entrance that we saw at Wrestle Kingdom, but he tweaked it now that he's no longer the real world champion. So it just showed like all his highlights. Best of the Super Junior winner, junior title winner, never champion, IWGP World Champion, and showing all these people he's beaten. And this is a big, long, more dramatic version of his theme kicks in, and he comes out and just looks like a star. These guys had a hell of a matchup here, and it was just, the bigger Ospreay bullying Oku a lot throughout the match. And the whole, no ref stoppage would come into a play with Ospreay pushing Oku off the top. He goes crashing into the timekeeper area. He's bleeding. And Ospreay's just beating him down, trying to get him to quit, but there's no stoppage there. And there's a point where Oku's girlfriend throws her drink in Ospreay's face, and he pulls her out of the crowd, and the crowd is losing it. And she is a wrestler, and so she knows how to work. So it's obviously a planned spot there. And then Oku comes out of nowhere, it's like a bat out of hell with a huge drop kick, and is just going crazy on Ospreay after touching his girlfriend. And there's just also a lot of crazy back and forth spots here, but the finish was really awesome, especially with this whole no stoppage stipulation.
Yeah, everything that you laid out there, that stuff was all very evident and prevalent to me as well. The early parts of the match, though, just the fast-paced offense and exchanges kind of harken back to the earlier days of Will Ospreay's like high-flying style that we're used to seeing, and he kind of broke out some of that stuff against Michael Oku, some of the old hits that we haven't heard for a long time. And then Oku obviously is a up-and-coming high-flying type guy as well, the current cruiserweight champion of RevPro, and his physicality was on display as well as far as his athleticism goes. And, the first probably like 20 minutes of the match, if you just were to watch that, you'd still come away thinking this match was really fantastic. Your super indie kind of high athleticism, high flying sort of dream match. But it was the story elements and Will Ospreay really being this incredible 70s/80s style heel against the white meat babyface of Michael Oku, and like you mentioned, integrating the girlfriend, integrating the parents, integrating all these different things. At a certain point, double juiced both Will and Michael Oku, bleeding profusely towards the tail end of the match. I mean, the match goes over 40 minutes, and it didn't feel like it whatsoever. Numerous, finisher attempts, numerous reversals, kick out to finishers, all of that was on display. But at the very, very end here, Ospreay just starts barraging Michael Oku with hidden blades to the back of the head, hidden blades to the front of the head. And at one point, it just looked like he was going to try to beat him with the hidden blade. And, Mike Oku kicked out a couple of them. And it was like, wow, this kid's really like, his heart is on display. But then he took one, and you're like, oh, shit, it's over. And Will goes to pin him, and at 2, he lifts him up. And then he hits him with another hidden blade, and then he goes to pin him, and then he lifts him up. And this just went on and on and on. And then you're like, oh, shit, this kid's going to have, like, brain trauma. Like, this is getting – and, I don't know. Obviously, it's a worked move. I don't know how hard he hits the guys with that move, but, like, it just became super compelling when, like, the family is like calling for the match to stop, and they're wanting to stop the match, and they're according to the rules there can't be a stoppage. And then his manager or whoever it was is standing on his
tag partner.
His tag partner, he's got the white the towel, and he's trying to throw it in, and the girlfriend is like kind of, I couldn't tell if she was imploring him to do it or not do it. But
to me, it seemed like she was saying do it, and then Oku's like, no, don't do it. And so the tag partner is conflicted. I wanting to do what's right for his partner's health, but at the same time, wanting to respect his partner's wishes. And so, yeah, he was stuck in a tough spot, but ultimately he decides not to do it.
No, he did throw it in.
No, the girlfriend got it, and the girlfriend threw it in.
Okay. Either way, it doesn't matter because the towel was thrown in, but there was already a stipulation in place. The match cannot end by stoppage. So the referee didn't stop the match. What ends up happening is she throws it in thinking they're going to stop it. And Will Ospreay takes it, like, throws it right back in her face, picks this man up, hits him with the, whatever his finish is called.
The Stormbreaker.
Hits him with the Stormbreaker. 1, 2, 3, like, adding insult to injury. Like, it was, like, incredible. And, I mean, the heat that this guy got and the dramatic fashion of this finish, I mean, it was really one to remember.
Yeah, and not only did he throw a towel, he wiped Oku's blood in it first, then threw a towel in her face.
Well, okay, see, I couldn't remember if he used it to hit the sleep or to hit the Stormbreaker, or if he did that. Yeah, I knew he did something. Yeah, he uses it to wipe his face and then throws it right in her face. And I mean, like, bro, oh my god, very emotional, incredible storytelling. I think Michael Oku is fantastic, but like Will Ospreay's like he's gone to another level, man. Like it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, dude, he keeps getting better and better and better, and it's one of those things like we talk about with the Young Bucks. People want to complain and they're flippy dude guys. Osprey's a flippy dude guy. He doesn't tell stories. There's no psychology. Blah 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 blah. Well, if you're saying that just proves to me that you're not watching this guy's body of work. Because especially in the last several years, especially as being a heavyweight, we're seeing more of the psychology, more stories being told. He's not just flipping to flip. Like, his flips are put in the right place to emphasize stuff in the matchup like it was done here. And he's telling compelling stories, especially as a heel. He knows the right buttons to press, and he already knows that everybody pretty much hates him anyway. So he's just leaning into it and, having, like you mentioned, having the girlfriend out there and being able to put his hands on her and getting her involved, like, that built him super heat. And, Oku, he has a special crowd connection with this RevPro fan base, and they're always behind him in these big match situations. So they were super behind him anytime he fired up and got big comebacks on Ospreay. There was one great reversal of something Ospreay was trying to do where he got him right into that half crab that's I guess one of his finishers, and the crowd.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the crowd was losing their mind.
Well, all throughout the match, he kept countering into the half crab, which I think is one of Michael Oku's like finishers.
Yeah.
And he kept compromising Will Ospreay by putting him in the half crab, but Will kept finding ways to get out of it. And then, like you mentioned, towards the tail end, he had a half crab. I've never seen anyone sink one in this deep because like he was wrenching all the way back, but then he bridged all the way to where their heads were touching. That's how far back he was pulling on Will's leg. Will still found a way to get out. Like, it was really compelling, man. Like, this is definitely excursion match of the year contender. It's right up there with Doki and Taichi from Taichi Takamania 3. So, I mean, we've already got two like leading contenders for that that award right now already.
Yeah, I went 4 3/4 on this matchup, just simply because there were some spots that Oku kind of botched a little bit, a couple springboard stuff that didn't quite hit the way they're supposed to, but still it's a fantastic match, fantastic storytelling. There was a lot of callbacks from guys that Ospreay faced, like Oku hit a tombstone at one point and attempted to hit him with the Rainmaker, and the commentary kind of calling that Ospreay's kryptonite, since Okada always beats him. That was a great callback. Oku hits a Styles Clash, which AJ is a former RevPro champion, and AJ and Ospreay have faced off before. So that was a nice little another callback right there.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Everything you said, from the rating, from the reason why you gave that rating, the callbacks, all of it. Just fantastic stuff. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Let's move on. We got a couple questions here, then we're going to wrap up the show.
Yep, so a question here from Reddit user Mandraker17. For you, which current or former LA Dojo graduates, Young Lions, has the brightest future?
For me right now, I'm all in on Alex Coughlin.
Yeah, Coughlin, he's going to be great, and I'm definitely behind him. But I think for me right now, I'm all in on Gabriel Kidd.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I think where Coughlin has the edge, I think Gabe Kidd's a terrible promo.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Like, I think as a heel, he might be a really he's not a bad promo. I shouldn't say that. He's a good talker. I just don't. He's annoying. To hear speak. So like he might be a really good heel one day, but yeah, I mean in terms of who's the best wrestler out of the crop, it's Gabe Kidd. In terms of who I think has the most upside, I think it's Alex Coughlin. Look at the guy.
Look at him.
Look at him. He's amazing.
Next question here from our user Ghost of Doc Gonzo. It kind of seems as if New Japan is positioning Ospreay to be the company's top heel going forward. Do you guys think this could lead to a push for all of United Empire and then possibly overtaking Bullet Club as the top heel faction?
Possibly. It's really hard to say. Right now, to me, it feels like that position of top heel is sort of in limbo, with Jay being over in the States and, the whole experiment with Evil kind of not working out, and the experiment of Ospreay as top heel kind of not working out. There doesn't seem to be a definitive top big bad or big bad faction. And, I feel like the United Empire is a strong unit, but I don't see them selling merch and moving tickets and being this cultural phenomenon the way the Bullet Club was, not is, but was. And at the same time, I don't see anybody in the company really doing what the Bullet Club was able to do back then. For the time being, it still seems like LIJ is the top, as far as popularity and relevancy goes, top faction in the company, and probably will be for some time coming. I'm not bought in that the United Empire can be what we thought it might have been able to have been initially. I think a lot of what's gone on with COVID has hurt them. That's not to say that I don't think that Will Ospreay is not going to be a top player in the company. I do think he will be. But I'm just not bought in on the idea that they're going to establish United Empire as the top heel faction and push out Bullet Club. Which, for the record, I think Bullet Club is donezo. I think they're long gone. I think their best days are behind them, and I don't think they're coming back. I think that's a group that they need to take out to pasture. And
yeah, I saw there are people in the Reddit, New Japan Reddit, asking, how can you fix Bullet Club? And somebody asked us the same thing in one of the fan groups or Facebook groups that we're a part of. What can you do to save Bullet Club? How can you make Bullet Club relevant again? And I agree with you on that. And I think Bullet Club, it's run its course. It's done its thing. I think it's time to get rid of the group, create a new faction, have all those guys do something different. I still think you can have GOD be a team. You can still have ELP and Taiji be a team. But I think, overall, they should just disband it and just kind of do something different. As far as United Empire and Ospreay being the top heel, I think the thing that's going to hurt that positioning, like you mentioned, is just this COVID and restrictions and how often those guys get in the country. I feel like if there were no restrictions, you could have United Empire being a top heel when you have Ospreay and Cobb and Okan and Hinare and Aussie Open and TJP. If you had all those guys in Japan at the same time, I definitely think they could be the top heel faction and run roughshod over Chaos and Huntai. And unlike House of Torture, they would be able to deliver excellent matchups on top of getting heat.
Well, here's the biggest caveat to all of that. And I think it's the thing that it's staring us right in the face, but maybe you and I have failed to mention it. In my opinion, there cannot be a meaningful or top heel group, faction, or performer in Japan until they lift the clap crowd mandates.
Yeah.
Because how can you even know who's the top heel if they're not getting booed and they're not getting heat and they're not drawing negative crowd reactions to where we know how the crowd is being affected by them, And I do understand the whole, their silence speaks volumes. Well, it does, but it also doesn't, So, it's kind of hard to even to have a group that, it's going to be real interesting what happens with House of Torture when the audiences are allowed to speak. Maybe their whole act would get over more once the crowd could actually respond to it. Or maybe we would find out that people are truly apathetic to it and they need to cut the shit. But, we're not going to know one way or the other when it comes to any of this until that part is taken care of, the restrictions.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great and excellent point, because we've been seeing these guys try to get heat with a crowd that can't react, and all they can do is clap, and nobody wants to clap for the heels. So you just have this deafening silence when guys are cheating or trying to get heat. So, yeah.
I mean, it worked for instance, like Jay White. He's one of the few performers who's talented enough when it comes to the voice work and the character stuff in the middle of the match to really play off of it. I think ELP and Jay White are probably two of the guys that are more adept at playing up their heelness in that environment to a way that comes across to the crowd and to the camera what they're really trying to do. You know what I mean? And to just have little snarky stuff. But like most of the heels are just by the books, doing their heel shit, trying to get heat, and they can't get shit, you know?
Right.
Because you have to work different.
Yeah, they have not been doing that. So last question here from Ready to the Dark Soldier says, I'm still astounded by the story that came out of Wrestle Kingdom Night 3 about Keiji Muto. Are there any more stories about Hollywood Hulk Muto politicking in his matches?
No, and I mean, I don't even think we ever talked about that in the show, huh?
Yeah, I think we might, it was like lumped in with some other story that we mentioned, but we didn't really talk about it in depth.
To be honest with you, I don't have any specifics. Like, I can't recall any deep, Puro lore stories about Keiji Muto doing one thing or the other, but you probably wouldn't have to dig that far to find those stories. It's kind of a known thing that Keiji Muto has been very protective of his spot and very protective of his character for the last 20 years, essentially. Ever since he's been on, kind of the downside of his prime. And I mean, you can count, how many major singles losses he's had to over the past, 20 years. And if the past decade, it's like less than 5 guys that have so, extremely protective of his position. I mean, he's been booking himself most of that time as well, keep in mind. So it's not like, politics or any kind of foreign thing, but I mean, it's not just him. I mean, that's going to be almost any guy that comes from that era,
Right.
Sting might be like one of the few exceptions. He's not the rule. Keiji Muto and guys like him and, major stars from that era, they're the rule.
Right. Like we mentioned, 'cause when we talked about Tanahashi last week, we were going over the Rainmaker shock in the beginning of the Okada feud. We talked about like how giving like Tanahashi was to kind of create a star, and I think we're seeing more now. Guys in Tanahashi's generation and generation coming up are more willing to kind of do business and create stars. But yeah, guys like Muto and guys in that era, very, very, very protective of their spots and wanting to look strong as possible. And I'm sure for Noah Muto, he is the biggest name in that promotion right now. Probably he's obviously not the best wrestler right now due to his physical state, but he's still a big star, and he still sees himself as a big star and wants to be treated as such.
He also injured his hip and had to relinquish the tag titles like just recently. So
no job.
Yeah, no job on the way out there. But hopefully he gets better. But it's never good to hear about the elderly hurting a hip.
Old's down bad.
Yeah, olds are down bad. But that's gonna do it. Not too many questions this week. A little bit of a lighter week, but we're going to move on to the recommended match of the week. Before I talk about last week's recommended match of the week, Jeremy, did you watch the match I sent you?
What?
Oh my God, he didn't do it. He did do it.
What, the tag match?
Yeah.
No, I have not watched it yet.
Never mind. Don't worry about it. You don't need to cover it for the show. He complained about the link. I found a new link for this man from last week's match. I sent it to him. I was like, yo, you want to check this out? I was like, thanks, I'll do it. He didn't do it. It's all right. Anyways, so this week's recommended match of the week, Jeremy had recommended to me Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito from the 40th anniversary show. So 10 years ago, Okada versus Naito on the anniversary, live from Corkin Hall in Okada's first ever IWGP title defense. And I got to tell you, Jeremy, not only did I think this match was fantastic, I think aside from their most recent Tokyo Dome match, meaning Okada Naito, it's easily, aside from that, the best match of the entire series of matches they've ever had, which is pretty, and I can say that pretty definitively. I've seen the rest of the series. I've seen all their Tokyo Domes, I've seen all their G1 Climax matches, I've seen all of them. And the vast majority of them aren't even close to how good this match was. This match was fantastic. Highest recommendations. I'm 4 3/4 on it. I liked it a lot better than most of the Tanahashi Okada matches that we saw last week. That might be controversial. I might even like it better than the one that we all praised from Dominion in 2012. I think Okada Naito has a case for being a better match than that, believe it or not.
Yeah,
and
this match, it was an excellent match up here.
Yeah, and Naito is funny because this was not, for those of you that are maybe not as familiar or initiated, this was pre Los Ingobernables de Japón Tetsuya Naito. This was the Stardust Genius Tetsuya Naito, and this man came out there doing everything in his power to be a star. Okada was a great match, but this was the Tetsuya Naito show. Like, it makes you, we talked about it a few weeks ago when we watched Naito versus AJ Styles and how aerial he used to be and his athleticism, but it was on a whole different level in 2012. I mean, bro, he took so many like amazing bumps. I mean, he was doing flip sentons and all sorts of crazy leg sweeps, and like Naito was just on fire, agile, the way he hopped the ropes. I mean, like, I didn't even recognize the guy. He was just incredible. Naito was incredible, and him and Okada went out there and they put on a fucking banger. Naito's leg work on Okada, building off what we discussed last week with the Tanahashi series. I mean, he did an even better job attacking the leg than Tanahashi did against Okada. And Okada seemed to really have his hands full with Naito. Like, he was definitely much more. It's so interesting because this is right after he pretty much fucked up Tanahashi in the previous match. And in his first big title defense, he's literally underneath almost the whole time. So they really went out of their way to like make Naito look super strong in this match. But at the very end of it, Okada was able to finally unleash a Rainmaker on Naito, but not before like a minute and a half of just incredible sequencing of, end match counter reversals, which is something that Okada has kind of gotten away from in recent years, but at one point was sort of known as the top match finisher in all of wrestling. A guy who could put together like a sequence of reversal, 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 bam, it leads into the Rainmaker or whatever it's going to be. And that's what we saw here. Like, this is probably the first really early instance of Okada working something like that with a guy like Naito. And just very different in almost every way from the remainder of their series. And this was top notch. And the crowd, I mean, they drew it. For all the reports of Okada being kind of a mildly receptive, champion early on, there was a lot of people here for this 40th anniversary show in Corkin Hall. They sold it out, and they were really hot to see Naito beat this guy. One last thing, it was also interesting because Naito spent, his excursion over in Mexico, and then Okada, obviously came up through the Toryumon, Mexico, route with Ultimo Dragon, and so he's kind of adopted a lot of Yave, and it was kind of funny because like he's trying to use all this Yave and Naito, and Naito's like, "Do you know who you're fucking with right now?" he's like, "Oh, what did what did God? What's the bad guy's name in is it Bane?
Yeah, Batman.
Yeah. Remember when he's talking to Batman? He's like, "You've merely adopted the darkness." Like, I imagine like Naito being like, "You've merely adopted the Yave, but I was raised in it, formed in it. I was a man before I saw a conventional catch-as-catch-can style maneuver." So yeah, if you've never seen this match between Okada and Naito, I would highly recommend that you watch it. And I also think it's interesting how Naito's focusing so prevalently on Okada's legs in this upcoming match 10 years later, and how much that was really the major story of this 40th anniversary show match between them. Again, if you've never seen it, you got to see it. This is required viewing for New Japan if you're like a diehard.
Yeah, big moment for Okada. First big title offense after the Rainmaker shock, and I think he shut up a lot of critics with this matchup here.
Yeah, he really, really showed that he had the goods. I mean, he kind of did that in the Invasion Attack match with Tanahashi, but like so much so. And what's funny? I don't even really like the Okada Naito feud or series the way other people do. Like, I've always thought that their matches were very good to great, but not like in that match of the year contender kind of like area,
Mm-hmm.
Until this most recent Tokyo Dome match. I've just never seen any of their matches that way. But this 40th anniversary match is the exception to that rule. This is one of the best matches they've had. Like, I only slightly put it behind that Tokyo Dome match just because of all the history and the story and the atmosphere and everything like that. But, I mean, to see a 10-year odyssey like this play out, I mean, this was incredible booking, just the whole feud in general.
Yeah, great stuff. Definitely recommend if you have not watched it yet, go out and watch this. So what did you pick for us for this week, Josh?
So this week, we are going off of New Japan World once again, but this one's a little less obscure than the one I tried to provide last week. We are going to be watching from August 4th, 1996, during the G1 Climax 1996 tour, a J-Crown semifinal match as the Ultimo Dragon wrestles Shinjiro Otani.
Man, this should be a banger. Those are two great guys, and in a J Crowd matchup, this should be very exciting.
By all accounts, the best match they ever had with one another, and I believe this is widely regarded as Dragon's best New Japan match of all time.
Nice. So looking forward to check that out. This is on Billy, and we will send a link out there for you guys to find this matchup. But yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Next week, we'll be back to review this week's Golden Series shows. If you've enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate. Click on the donate button under the Keepin' It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media. On Twitter, we're at KI Strong Style. On Facebook, we run the Wrestling Squared Circle group. You can join us there. On Instagram, it is I'm running out of what is it on Instagram?
At
Jeremy?
Social Suplex.
At Social Suplex. On Reddit, Jeremy is what are you?
The pro black guy.
Pro black guy, and I'm Keeping It Strong Style. You can email Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences Podcast with Caleb and Maserati. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. And the AEW Match Guide Podcast, hosted by Sir Sam. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next time on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
NBA crossover is coming to Cleveland for NBA All-Star. This February, experience the intersection of music, art, fashion, tech, and basketball at the Public Auditorium. Celebrate the past, present, and future of the NBA with special appearances, brand experiences, limited edition apparel and collectibles, and live performances. Check out NBA Crossover February 18th, 19th, and 20th. Get tickets today at NBAEvents.com.
Now is the perfect time to work at Amazon. They are offering hourly jobs with great pay and even include a large sign-on bonus. No matter where you're at in the job market, you can select from a variety of available roles in your area. Join an exciting work environment and be part of a team that brings smiles to customers every day. To find the job that works for you and some extra cash, go to Amazon.com/apply. That's Amazon.com/apply. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.